Hello. Very, very good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to another live stream with me, 320 Sim Pilot. I hope you're doing very well. Today we are taking the Dash 8 Q400 for another flight, this time from Southampton down to Geneva. Bit of a ski charter time of year now in the UK. We're just getting to that point. So I thought it would be appropriate. Typical sort of airplane to use for that route as well, although not very good for cargo loads, but we'll talk about that a bit later. But yeah, it's been a while. We flew this last in XP11. If you watch the channel regularly, you'll know I don't really want to fly XP11 much more. I prefer XP12 in almost every way. Appreciate that some things are pretty much the same, but other things are just much better, including, of course, the lighting and the visuals and the reflections, all a lot nicer. So today we're going to take this for about a 1.5 hour flight. It takes a little bit longer than it would do in an Airbus 320. Of course, the Q400 flies lower and slower, but it burns almost no fuel doing it, so we will look at all of that as we go. Great to have you all join us. Thank you for coming along to the stream. We're live on both YouTube and Twitch. So let me just first of all looking into the YouTube chat. It's not working. Why is that not working? Well, starting with Twitch then. Hello to James Atkinson. I hope you're doing well. James is going to fly along in the slowest A320 ever. Excellent. Good luck. Maybe that must be is that James over there in the Speedbird 257. Yeah, excellent. Capri Sponge says could be worse. You could be in the slowest Concorde ever. Indeed, flying Concorde below 250 knots is a terrifying experience. Tom Corwin, good to see you. Richard Darsley, I hope you're doing well, and it's great to have you all join us. Mr. Banana as well. The mic is a bit low. Okay, stand by. Let me. I can't actually turn it up anymore. Let me just check if that's my Windows settings. There's always something different whenever I change anything. No, that's about right. Hopefully that what I'll do, I'll turn down the desktop audio. That background noise is probably a bit loud. Maybe that's where we're sitting. I have got the YouTube chat available on my streaming software actually, so that's good. So Wide One, good to see you. Dave Geimer as well. Dave Geimer also flew in the Q300 on holiday. Excellent. So we're going through the holiday ones. Crash Ed, good to see you. Martin Scott as well, and Mark Iglufu as well. Great to see you here. Daniel B, J-Dog, we've got Duncan. Beast Boy, thanks so much for the 99-cent super chat. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. I'm just gonna try and refresh my it's refreshing a risky plan. I don't think so. I think it's working. Yes, there we go. Okay, the refresh worked. Right, yeah, Beast Boy, thanks so much for the 99-cent super chat. Really appreciate it. I hope you're doing very well. Thanks for joining us. Scalebags as well. Landing Gear 001. Andy H132, thanks for coming along and moderating along with Wired Womble. Good to see you all here. Hayden J. Robbins, good afternoon or good evening to you as well. Pete White, Mark Burgess, great to have you here. Piano Learner as well. One Big Flappy Boil. Yeah, sorry, what's happening is I'm actually, I've got my feet on my rudder pedals and I'm just sort of, while I'm chatting, I'm idly fiddling with the toe brakes, so that's my fault there. And who else? Rivers Ludden as well, good to see you. Been a while. So thanks for coming along. Indeed. And Trevor is having an afternoon in sunny Dublin. Well, it's certainly not sunny where I am, but excellent. Iglufu says, I was thinking of flying along in the 146, but was afraid of only getting to Paris by the time you landed. No, the 146 can keep up with the Dash, but it can also go slower, depending. Daniel B, good to see you. And Colin as well. So, yeah, a good bit of fun, this. I like flying this aircraft. For those of you who don't know, I flew this aircraft commercially. It was my first love, as it were, first airliner that I flew, which is a big step. It's an interesting machine. I don't think it flies in. How do I say this? This is an interesting machine. We'll see it as we go through. Those of you who aren't used to it will. I'm not used to it anymore. It's full of things to sort of trip you up in a way. But FlyJSim have done an astonishing job replicating it. This is a really remarkable add-on. It's just super. They've got the best visual model I've seen, I think, ever. Maybe not ever. The Just Flight 146 was close, but this is a really exemplary model, and the graphics in the flight deck and everything are above X-Plane levels, really. So it's nice to see it in X-Plane 12 where we get to experience it a bit more like it deserves, really. It was too good for X-Plane 11. I was looking back at my old streams of it just to remind myself of a couple of things, and when I did, I couldn't help but be reminded of how good the interior of this was and the exterior, and then you just saw the things around it in the lighting sort of letting it down. Yeah, sorry about the nose, that is my fault. Good. Swiss says, looks nice to me. Explain. Exactly, it is. Marek UK, good to see you as well. And Brood and Blue. Sound is fine on YouTube. Excellent. Okay, good stuff. Hayden says, some of us will be in the hold again, I think, today. Yes, 178 of you. Goodness me. So, yes, absolutely. This is a 78-seater aircraft. That's all you're going to get. They've done a fantastic job, as ever, with the details at FlyJSim. So, look at this. You can just click. And it just does it. It's just great. And that's on the outside of the model. They've really gone above and beyond with that. So we can do a little walk around, and I will try and remember what I can remember. Clive, good to see you. Birdman as well. I hope you're doing well. This might be the wrong camera angle to use. We shall see how it goes. It's a little bit fast. Maybe we'll just go for a walk out the flight deck. They've got a full cabin. Look at this, unbelievable detail. Every sun visor moves. Now, not all Dash 8s have sun visors. This is actually a luxury option. So this was a posh, well, this is Banter Airline, so what do we expect? It is a posh one. And they've got sounds and luggage bins the whole way along. Just great. Smaller than normal luggage bins. You will not fit a wheelie trolley inside that, which is obviously very confusing to people who've flown on an Airbus or a 737, or even if they've come off a long haul flight and then they get into this and find they can't fit their luggage in the airplane. So that would have to be checked in, because certainly the seats are also smaller. So the seats are smaller. The space underneath them is smaller. They are your head in this airplane. In like a normal airplane, you sort of sit about here. In the dash, you sit about here, so you just see everyone's head bobbing along in the in the bumps. And of course, it does feel the bumps because it's a light aircraft that flies slower. It's under 30 tons at maximum weight. No, go on, down you go. Oh, it's going slowly, there you go. Under 30 tons at maximum weight, but it's often sitting in the low 20s. For context, an A319 will be in the mid 50 tons sort of area. So this is not much smaller than a 319 in terms of wingspan and so on, but it's just so light and yeah, it doesn't have a lot of the things. It can't take anywhere near the same amount of fuel and so on. But it's very efficient. That's the whole point. So much magenta, says Perpetual Mamiga. So this livery is available. I've pinned it on the YouTube chat if you'd like to see it. It is available, done by Bounce very kindly. It's a version of my original livery that I made for the Toliss A320. It's been converted by a few very kind and talented livery artists. So this is one of the versions of it. This is the X-Plane 11 version, but it works just fine on the X-Plane 12 version, which is very nice indeed. Nikolai, good to see you. Nikolai is very kindly super chatted £8.99. Really appreciate it. Nikolai says, another day, another flight. Good to see you again, Captain. I'm just setting up for a 320 Phoenix flight from Heathrow to LGZA. Zakynthos, I believe. Inspired by your previous live streams flying this route. Excellent. Yes, that's a classic 320 Sim Pilot route. Thank you so much, Nikolai. Really appreciate the £8.99 donation. Very kind of you. I hope you're doing well. Enjoy your flight. And thank you for supporting us over here on the channel. But yeah, that's very, very kind. I think that's James over there in the 320. Hash says, we need some more aircraft like this in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Can't wait to see what devs come out with this year. Yeah, me too. I totally agree. It's taking time. We knew it would take time. It's taking longer than even I imagined, actually. But it's we're getting there. We're getting some really nice and interesting aircraft. In particular, I'm thinking of things like the A300. But I would like to see this. I would like to see this. How do you have your camera set up in X-Plane? It feels so clunky to me, says Igloo. I can talk about that. I have a shortcut for the wing views that I make myself, and then this is using the cockpit view, and I'm strolling around by pressing Shift and the full stop key, and it lets us sort of walk around the aeroplane. So that's how I do that. Tevi, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you enjoy the stream. Richard Dusty wants a Vickers discount. Yes, I'd like to see a handy page. No, the Valiant, one of the V bombers that had a beautiful tail fin. Love to see one of those. I had that back in Flight Simulator 98. Again, Nikolai, thanks so much. Very kind donation indeed. Valmail says, now that you've enjoyed X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator, do you have a preference? What drove your preference? I do not have a preference. I will continue to use both. I'm using completely default scenery here. I saw somebody asked about that. This is completely default, and you know this is one of X-Plane's perks, really, isn't it? The default airports are infinitely leagues ahead of most of the default airports in Microsoft Flight Simulator. But you know, I also want to keep. This gives you an idea if you're on the fence or you're not sure. I'm just showing you, and you can decide if you think this is good or not. I'm not here to convince anyone X-Plane is or isn't better. Hopefully we can just enjoy flying the aircraft, because there are a lot of great aircraft in X-Plane either way. Victor had a T-tail, yeah. The Victor then, I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Andy wants a 111 and a Trident. Yeah, very good. Very good. James in the right livery. Yes, for once we've got a correct looking aircraft matching its livery. So other things about the dash. So this as I said, Bounce did a great job on this this livery. It's a variation on my one. It's got angle of attack sensors, pitos, all as usual. This is an ice detector, which the A320 doesn't have. There's someone going. There's an EZ arriving or going. Yeah, fancy equipment. The dash also has a spigot up here. So it has two systems for detecting ice. You can see it on here and you get the message on here, more than most Airbuses have. And the Airbus's spigot isn't in the right place. It's in the middle of the windscreen and you can't see it very easily. It doesn't light up very well. This has an actual light inside the flight deck to shine on it so you can see it. However, ice, not really an issue on the Airbus. Big deal on the dash. You can arrive after a flight and you'll see a circle of ice here, circle of ice here. And if you're unlucky, it'll be on the windows as well. Landing gear says, I've never had a smooth landing in the Dash 8. No, not many people have. That's all I can say to that. This is the nose wheel steering lockout, so the ground crew will pull that not the lockout, sorry, the hydraulic lockout. So this is pulled, if you're going to pull the aircraft forward, you can lock the nose gear down hydraulically to prevent the nose collapsing, because of course the nose gear retracts forwards. Now, why the Dash 8, you had to do that before pulling it forwards. The Airbus you don't, even though the Airbus nose gear goes forward. So I don't know the difference. I've never quite worked that out. That's an intricacy of the systems. This is where you plug in the ground power and the headphone jack. Just an astonishing visual model, this. They've outdone themselves. It's so good. And the texturing and so on the livery pack is excellent as well. Look at all this. Nose gear. Obviously, taxi light. Taxi light is attached to the nose gear. So as you turn the wheel, the taxi light swings around. So it's always pointing where you're pointing. As you can see there, as I mess it up. So that's quite a neat feature that the Airbus doesn't have. The Airbus has to have turn-off lights, which sit on the side instead. Dash was sort of designed a different way. Another ice detector for some reason. I'm very worried about ice, as you can imagine. Pitos, angle of attack, more standby pitot. This is hold 5, I think it was called. Am I thinking of the Airbus when I say that? So this hold is it is modelled. There you go. It's accessible from the cabin on the ground, but it's not supposed to be accessible in flight because it is effectively a hold, so it's normally locked, and it's just a little extra storage. In there, you'll have things like propeller ties, because you can't leave these propellers in strong winds whizzing around. It's not very good for them. Why? I don't know. Something to do with the generator brushes. So you had to get the prop ties out of there, and the intake blanks, you know, things that on the Airbus you just don't do, or an engineer would do in extreme conditions. Drain masts, ADF antenna, I suspect, though I'm not sure of that one. I quite like this livery on this plane. Cheat line looking good. Ice deflector. Now explain to me why you have an ice deflector around the fuselage but not the windows. I don't know. I assume the windows are considered strong or flexible enough to handle the ice, because of course the ice could whiz off that propeller. Iglafu says, would that be due to how much longer the jet is in icing conditions since it flies lower? Than a jet, sorry. Yes, the Dash 8 will spend more time in icing conditions, but also it's slower, so it picks up ice more easily, and it's got rounder leading edges as a result. So all of these things contribute to it picking up ice more easily. The jets just don't. You could fly an Airbus through a significant amount of ice without any ice protection, and it wouldn't likely have a big impact immediately. I've flown in the Dash where we've had to leave a flight level to get out of the ice because it was just getting silly. This window was frosted up, and then these were frosted up. However, I never experienced true ice shedding on it. I've never had that, which I have had on the Airbus, which is where ice builds up and then breaks off the propellers and hits this panel. It's very noisy. I never really noticed it. It may have happened, but yeah, it's an interesting one. Landing lights here, if these aren't fitted properly or over time because of the vibration from the engine and the propeller, these would come loose occasionally. So you're taxiing along and these would bounce up and down, bounce on the runway. You'd see them bouncing away. Oh, good times. Leading edge is not a heated wing. It's a boot, so it's inflated with air, which they've also modelled excellently. Maybe we'll have a look at that on the flight over. Could be a bit of time on this flight, and it is wintry conditions. Lights, 2 systems. Automatically, the second system takes over. If the first nav light system's broken, the second one would turn on. So you could walk, if you're doing your walk around, you can actually see, oh look, the first light must be broken. It can sense that. It can do it automatically. The Airbus won't do it automatically. You've got to then go and select the second system. So one of the very few automatic features in this aircraft. Ailerons are Mechanical, entirely mechanical, no hydraulics. They have got a trim tab, or it is a trim tab, but there's also a sort of flying tab, as it were. So you're controlling the aileron, but there is a tab there to help ease the load, because of course it could be heavy. Flaps, flap tracks, AC connector, not something you'd use very often. So this aircraft is mainly DC, unlike the Airbus, which is quite a lot of AC stuff on it. Fueling panel back here, which I think works. I don't remember how to set it though. Oh no, it doesn't work. No. So this is where the fueling panel is on the dash, but we don't see it very often, even on the Airbus. Not many adults have it modelled. Landing gear, rear doors. Unusually, the dash main gear folds backwards into the main gear bay, which has of course led to some spectacular landing gear failures, where if it wants to fail, it would just go backwards and the whole thing collapses and the propeller hits the ground. Yeah, it's just the way it's been done. The alternative would be, of course, to put these in here like the ATR, but then they're close together, so it's not so stable in a crosswind. So that's why it'd be like this. Anyway, let's close up the door. The other side will be very similar. APU inlet and APU outlet. Very noisy APU, although not the worst. The Embraer 145 has the noisiest APU on the planet. That may not be true. I don't know if it's the noisiest, but it is a very noisy APU. This one points up. Airbus one doesn't have to bother because it's so high anyway, but this one's a bit lower down. Big tail section. I really like. I like doing the walk around on the tail of the dash. It's just a big structure. They also use rivets that stick out on the back section here, which again FlyJSim models superbly. These stick out and then it's smooth in front, presumably just to save cost. Why bother this far back? It's not going to make such an aerodynamic difference, I assume is what they're thinking. Logo lights for the tail. Boots along the leading edge of the tail and leading edge of the fin. But that's all the boots you get. Right. Let's jump into the flight deck. Let's get this thing going. Evening, Miranda Howley. Hope you're doing well. Lizard says, are the environment sounds a plugin or native to XP12? They're native. They're native indeed. Yeah, they're just with all those vehicles out there. It's quite nice. Jet Fighter says, hi, do you have some blurry textures in Cockpit? Well, we'll have a look. I think they're pretty good, actually. And we've got the door open for now. This is a jump seat, by the way. Look at this. You just sit on the back of the door. So that's completely vertical, of course. Not comfy for any long period of time. The Airbus even has a little cup holder for the jump seat. So, yeah, not that comfy. Don't remember how to close that. Well, I do. You click down here. There. Oh, you've got to drag it up. Look at that. They've even got physics on the jump seat. Amazing. Right, let's get this thing powered up. So, oh yes, what I did want to show you while the screens are off, you can actually see, look at that. I've got actually at an angle it's harder to see, but you can see all the smears and everything. That's one of the best off LCD screens I've seen. Something else. They've really done a good job here. As we know already, this is because there's no footrest, so pilots put their feet there and wear off the paint. The Airbus had footrest installed. Is the Q400 a quiet aircraft in the interior? Asked Comcheta. No. Marina Halley, thanks for rating us. Hope you're doing well. No, it's not as quiet as a jet. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if it's been measured as quieter, but in my opinion, it might be quieter than other turboprops. Amantha says, debating if I should risk taking the A340-600 from Southampton. Probably not going to work. Probably not going to work. Who says, can you explain how and when to use the ice protection? Yeah, we will. Once we get going. Remind me of that question later on as we go. Good. Brad, good to see you. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. Robus asks, are you doing the return? No, we'll just go one way. We're going to do a cold and dark startup and we'll do the one flight out there. That's the plan for today. It's been a long time since we flew this, so I was excited to get back into it. Okay, so let's go to here, and we can run through checklists and so on. So I'm going to do the originating checklist, as it were, and then I'm going to load. So before start, restock fan on. That's overhead. Now I'm not entirely convinced about this checklist, but external check we've now done. Alternate gear doors, landing in, inhibit switch, close norm. Yeah, this checklist is slightly truncated. There's a few more things I think you would do on the real aircraft, but anyway, alternate landing gear is this little panel. So when you lift that up, it actually fiddles with the hydraulic systems, and then you'd pump the landing gear down in there using this handle here. I mean, rubbish, but that's what it is. The Airbus is just all one thing, and then there's an inhibit switch. I think it's up. No, that's an extra gear light you can check. Inhibit one is up here. There you go, landing gear down select inhibit switch. If you wanted just to use that. And here's the other landing gear release. I mean, ridiculous. Yeah, but there we go. I'm not going to whinge for the whole day. So anyway, that's all closed and norm. Flight deck preparation completed. Briefing completed. Next is before start. Yeah, so this is just sort of, this will get you going. So let's power up the airplane and then get people on board. So we're going to put the batteries all on. I'm going to leave the bus tie to tie. Generators are on. And I'm going to request a GPU unit. And we'll do a GPU starts. Connect GPU. Now, I don't think there's any way to see you on the GPU. I think it would come up on here, actually. Ground power. There's a little flick. Has it appeared anywhere? Nope. But I'm going to take its word for it then, that that's working. There must have been a way to tell. That's going to really bug me. That seems mad. Oh, it'll be on the screens. So this screen, I believe this one will be left on all the time. So let's turn on the Copilot MFD. You wouldn't turn off all the screens on this aircraft for this reason, I think. It's not that common to turn them all off anyway, even on the bus these days. And then we'll have the engine display. Right, we'll get those loaded up and then we can work out what our power situation is. Yeah. 11 o'clock AM, thanks so much for the £4.49 super chat. EGHI departures from runway 20 used to be published SID, but now it's just a noise abatement procedure. Is this just to give pilots more flexibility? I don't know if it's for flexibility, but it's common in these smaller sort of airports. So, yeah, it's not too much of a surprise in a smaller one. But I don't think it's for flexibility. It's probably just a lack of wanting to fly everyone over the exact same place all the time. 11 o'clock AM says, I'm a local resident and the departures seem to fly everywhere now. Maybe that's it. Maybe it helps keep the variety for noise reasons, instead of everyone flying over exactly the same point. And again, says Flybe is an incredible airline. There you go. But thanks so much, 11 o'clock AM, for the £4.49 super chat. Really, really appreciate it. That's very kind. And thank you for supporting the channel. I hope you have a very, very good day. George says, if you've played the XP12 demo, it's much different from the full XP12. I'm tempted by the modded aircraft available over Microsoft Flight Simulator, but the demo looks nothing like the videos I've seen. Well, there you go. So hopefully just watching this will help give you an idea. Anyway, there's our clue. To see external power is on. Fuel temperature 0 degrees. It's cold out there. Static air temperature 0 degrees. Yeah, and it's wintry. So there we go. That's good. So the batteries aren't draining. We would see if they were draining. But yeah, good stuff. Right, let's see what I can remember. Moving down, ice protection, we're going to leave all off for now. Engine intake is closed. Reference speeds needs to be off. Pitot static off. Boot air normal. Windshield off. But you can warm it up. Maybe we'll warm it up. Pilot side window heat on. They probably come on automatically in the air. I don't remember that. Landing lights off. Altimeter to just feet. Flight data recorder. APU fire tests. Yep, and then we can test the engines. And we can test the baggage. We can do tests galore. Isn't that fun? APU, one click. Bite test, starts. Engine start, norm. These would be left off overnight. So norm, well they certainly were when I flew it. And select in the middle. Landing outs, we are going to be landing in Geneva, which is slightly higher up. I believe it's 500 feet. We'll check that on the way. I think it's about 500 feet. Which should be about there because that's 2,000. That's 1,000. It's in auto, crucially, and the forward outflow valve is closed. We don't want to have that open. Let's put the position lights on. Tail logo lights on. Good. Emergency lights can go to arm. Seatbelt signs off. No smoking on. Test the lights. So that one test does the caution panel. There. Again, great job on the texturing. Look at it. You can really feel it. That sort of rough plastic. And then the advisory lights, all the other ones, they all work. And we'll put them to bright. Up here then, bleeds can go off for now. Reset fan on. Min. That's all fine. Surprised it's 20 degrees. Packs are in auto. Temperatures are set. APU gen. See how it stays in warn? So I've clicked it on, but it's saying warning because it's not in use. Now we click off that, and the APU gen takes over. And now we'll see the DC external power is gone. And let's put some bleed air on. Let's warm up the cabin. That's the ducts. What's the cabin temperature? 20 degrees in the cabin. This seems a bit unlikely. Generators, AC, just leave on. This panel wouldn't really get touched much, and you wouldn't use AC external power very often. Bit confusing, I suppose, if you're used to normal aircraft. Flight taxi to taxi, otherwise the spoilers will come up, so that holds them down. And then you would do these power flight control checks. I'm not going to do that. You have to press them in and then check the rudder and check it still works. Anti-skid goes on and then tests, and you should get the anti-skid warning up here. And then I believe, if I remember rightly, it's been years since I've done this, you'd hold it up and then it would go out again. Or maybe you have to let it go and let it go out again. I don't know. Don't remember. You can hear the bleed running there. That's pretty good. Speed bug's not going to do. We're going to set the Q&H. We'll grab the H's in a second. Is this type of overhead panel with the lights unique to the Q400? This is a unique Q400 overhead. I don't know if the Q300 had a similar one or not, or the other Q series. But yeah, this is quite an unusual one, certainly. But yeah, how unique it is, I don't know. It could be shared by the other Q300, 200, 100s. I think they're slightly older though. The Q400 has hydraulic rudder and elevator, rudder and spoilers, powered flight control shutoffs, but it has mechanical ailerons. I believe it's hydraulic rudder as well. Elevators, but certainly rudder and spoilers. Maybe the elevator isn't. Goodness me. It's been a long time. I'm doing my best. Landing it down, and then it has the release. Horn mute should be off, and then landing flap, whatever. We're not going to use that now. These are hydraulic systems. We're not going to use those. Fuel control in the middle. We're going to leave all of this alone. Propeller control and auto feather comes later. This is the backup comms. I'm going to turn on our FMGCs, as it were. So now we have the fancy EFIS control. So systems page up here is very common format. If we want to change that, we go down here and I can set it to whatever I want. So if you look at the fuel, which is in kilos, good. Look at the doors. So that will be left like this on turnarounds normally. Yeah, and if we can swap it over, there's lots of ways to do this. We can do all sorts, but that's typical. It's because we've got this side set to system. If I set it to nav, we get the normal nav screen. So let's have that on system, captain side on nav. Turn on the arc dues, set them to both so that both sides can control each other. This is brilliant. This is the best unit in here. It's better than the Airbuses. It's just great. So easy, so visible, so clear, so hard to mess up too badly. It's still possible, but less likely. Good, so now let's load up the aircraft. So let's take, well, we're full, aren't we? There's 78 of us. Where's our zero fuel weight? Aviation Europe, good to see you. Mr. Espresso, good to see you as well. Yeah, we have flown this before, but not much, not much. Right, we're going to be really heavy. MTR 18 tons, zero fuel weight 25.2, which is up at the maximum. Actually, I've set it to be a little bit lighter. So let's say everyone's brought lots of ski gear. So we're going to go at 24 tons. So the forward hold is reduced. We've got 66 passengers. That's all we could fit, which wouldn't be surprising for a ski charter. Another thing about the dash is it's incredibly trim sensitive. Let's sort out the fuel. We need 3 tons. Can you believe that? That's all it needs. And I think it takes up to 5. Yeah, 5.3. That's all it can take. For context, the 320 takes 18. So let's go to 3.2. Just because I don't know how accurate SimBrief is of the Q400. Yeah, so you'd find, as you can see here, it's done it slightly lighter at the front and then heavier at the back. It's quite common. Passengers get very upset about that. But it's just important for the trim. So you find that you have like a half-empty airplane and everyone's crammed into this little section here and they get a bit disappointed. They want some more space. But sadly, it's just the design. It's a stretched airplane. It's trim sensitive. Quite common, really. Good. So now we go to load summary. Well, it's 0, isn't it? We know that. What? Oh no, here we go. Time 1 out of 30. Landing with 1,500 kilos. Taxi 10 minutes, reserve 30 minutes, reserve fuel, reserve 400 kilos, reserve fuel. Unbelievable. Takeoff weight is 27,132. So, not bad, pretty heavy. And that's with 3.2 tons. So we got 24 ton, 0 fuel weights. Ramp CG 29.61. I'm just writing these down because I always have to find them again later, and I'm sure I will anyway. Boardies in both doors. Fuel before loading packs. Nah, just do it all. Let's do a fast load. There we go. Everyone's on boards. Now they're waiting for us. Love that. Love the way it animates and makes all the noises. So much detail on this. Just beautiful. Good. Right. So we're on our APU. We got some air for the passengers. Let's do the obvious bit now. I'm going to hide the yoke. I thought I could leave it up, but no, it is 2 in the way. Let's load up the box. So we'll accept that database on both sides. Not all dashes have 2. Often it won't have 1 on this side. That's quite normal. Right, wish us luck. Wish us luck. Yeah, I'm not sure how it chose that loading, Rabbit 747. The answer is, I managed to pick a seat where the view is blocked by the engine every time I need to fly Q400. Yeah, you want to be right at the front or right at the back. We'll have a look at the views in a minute. Good, so let's see if I can remember this. Wish me luck. I have to do this daft crossfill thing because we've got 2, which I can't really be bothered with. Can't do that either. You got to select it. No, it knows where it is, so we won't do that. So little M means there's a message, so you can press message and it would be there. Well, maybe not then. Right, flight plan. EGHI, it knows that. How did it know that? And we're going to Geneva. Geneva. And then you select the point, menu, depart, runway 20. We do have an ATIS here. It's Southampton Information Echo. And runway 20. QNH 901. Calm winds. Temperature 0. RLS approach in use. Land control 129425 is initial contact. 129425. Good. So runway 20 to depart. So you have to enter the 2 and then enter. Yeah, rubbish. And then there's no SID, so we're going to do it manually. Then flight plan. So that's it. I don't even know if it draws the runway on here. No, nothing. Yeah, that's what we get. After that, let's bring up the route. We got it here. Of course. Goodwood. We're going to end up at Goodwood. So let's see if I can do this. If I type there, Golf, Whiskey, Charlie, Goodwood. Yes, and then it pushes Geneva down 1. That's good. And then Benbow. Enter. Accept. And then from Benbow, menu, no, after Benbow, there we go. If you didn't follow that, you have to press list. Wexian, good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Infinity, what good to see you. Infin's back. Really happy to say I passed final interview. Now just fingers crossed my medical, and soon I'll be on the way to either the 787 or the 320. Goodness me. Fantastic news, Infin. Fantastic news. Well done. Do you mind saying where you're off to? 787 or 320? Is that your first job? First line job? Very good. Straight on 78 would be quite something. I did indeed used to fly the Dash 8 Mad Matuk 123. Anyway, right. Upper Lima 612. So we go Airways. Upper Lima 612. This is such a crazy system. And then we're taking that to Resmi. Point number 5. Enter. From Resmi. Info. No, not info. You'll select Resmi. No, select here. Menu. No. List. What am I doing? What am I doing? So select the point after where you want to be. Then list. Airway. Resmi upper mic 975. Number 4. Enter. And then obviously we're leaving at Peckham. It's the only option. And then we'll go Peckham. Direct to Pilol. Enter. Accept. Then Pimp. Enter. Set. Pixis. Accept. Still better than the Airbus's way of doing this. Airbus is fun. The airways there and there. I don't know why, but it's not as good as this. Most are better. The best thing in an Airbus is when you get just directs. Like this is worse in a way than the airways in the Dash, but in the Airbus, yeah, it's the other way around. Anyway, I've said that a million times now. Right, and then LSGG, Lusar to Romeo. So arrive, assuming it's runway 22, and next Lusar to Romeo, number 13, and we'll take an ILS DME for 22. Won't bother with this transition, and we'll check that on the way. So no departure, but effectively from Goodwood. And there it is. So we're at Southampton. There's Goodwood over there. So we'll have to do a sort of manual departure, as it were. So there is our flight. According to me, that should be 22 in use. Thanks, Aaron Mac UK. AC455, good to see you. Boeing pilots say the same about the Airbus MCDU. There you go. Good. So that's the flight plan. Infinity is off to Scoot in Singapore. Fantastic. Brilliant stuff. Well done. Absolutely brilliant news passing the cadet scheme. Just fantastic. Well done. There's not a moment you'll ever forget that about that phone call. And it doesn't show the ILS, but I don't think it matters. Good. Fuel now. Basic weight. Passengers at... I knew I'd have to go back into this. 66. Can I just type in 66? No, it doesn't, because it doesn't have any loaded weight, so I need to find my actual... Can I see the load sheet? There it is. Load data. Right, we got 5273 kilos of passengers. We have 1006 of cargo. Zero fuel at 24079, which is right. Fuel on board, we got 3.2, which we can just see there. And what I will do is we'll just load this information in properly. Alternate 392, that's all we need, 392 kilos of alternate fuel. I'm putting this in so that it just gives us the proper information. Hold is actually your final reserve fuel. We said 400, this actually wants 621, so I'll put that in. Extra, don't need any extra, so we just leave it blank, and it shows us that we've got a ton spare, which is all good. Next, that happens after engine start, as does that one, as does that one, as does that one. Yeah, fail, yeah, no surprise. Flight plan, performance, don't need to do anything with that, that happens in flight. Tune, I'm not going to bother with that, we'll do it through the ArcDo. Good. No link, we know that. Oh, what does this do? Maybe it's heading after departure. So we're taking off from Southampton. We're effectively going straight up 115 up to... Well, actually, no, we're going to make a right turn to Goodwood. But initially, we'll just take runway heading. So maybe I'll put that in here. 019. No, sorry, 20, isn't it? We're going south. 199. Oh, I don't remember what that means. What am I doing here? Making a mess of things. Let's just cancel that. Good. I think that's all done. It's pretty straightforward, really. Having just failed to do that. Please don't crash into us. So fuel on board, everyone on board. Computer says, is the Q400 powerful aircraft relative to its size? Yes, very powerful. Oh, London's going off. There we go. Oh, well, in a minute we'll get going. So, fueled up, got passengers. Let's get rid of the GPU. And we can run the next checklist, actually. So circuit breakers are checked, passenger signs, they can go on. Now we have fuel on boards. Emergency lights are armed, anti-skid on, fuel transfer quantity is off, we've got 3.2 tons. Emergency brake pressure check. That is, this is the emergency brakes. And you can see the parking brake is there. It's actually a little bit low. I think if we did standby high pressure. Nope, maybe we need AC power for that. Anyway, we'll say it's good enough. Power levers, disc. Condition levers are fueled off. So this is disc. These are at fueled off. They shouldn't be at flight idle. They should be at disc. They shouldn't be at max reverse. They should be at disc. Disc is like the idle position on the ground. Takeoff data reviewed. So takeoff data. Oh, please. I don't remember how I did this. There is a way to do it, isn't there? There you go. You just double click in this area. So V1, VR, V2, 152, 140. We don't need to set a speed because there is no speed bug because it is a -8 and it does not have auto throttle. What we can do is set the heading bug though. First of all, is the heading should be synchronized. Yep. And let's have the heading set round on 200. There it is. So that's the way we're taking off. And the course bar. Do something similar. Now it's set to RS1. If we change our nav source, that's RS2, FMS2, none of that, FMS1, RS1. Okay, so let's tune the Goodwood VOR. $11475. So we go down here, we go select it. 11475, and then select it again, and there it is. Let me actually turn it up, the audio on it, to listen to it, which would be VR1. There it is. And now that's tuned 11475. So once we get in the air, that should point us towards Goodwood. I've got VR1 needle displayed. I'm going to turn off the VR2 needle because it's just distracting. And there we go. Right. Something I do need to do here is go to menu, crossfill. Oh no, you have to do it on the other side. Rubbish. There we go. So when you change anything, you have to do that. I mean, yeah, a sign that this was not originally intended to have two. Amanda says, I'm severely disappointed with my A340-600. It just said runway too short without even trying. That's a shame. But there you go. Good. Right. So what's left? Takeoff data is reviewed. We got the speeds in. In terms of a brief, quite straightforward today, he says. So we're going to taxi out. Bravo. Backtrack. Turning pad. Take off from runway 20. I'm not sure what flap setting these speeds are based on. I'm going to assume 5, but I'll click it again once we've got the flaps out to make sure we know which one we're using. And then down we go, 1700 meter runway. So it's not the longest in the world, but reasonable. It is a narrow runway as well. And then we're going to head to Goodwood, which is going to be just straight off on our left side. So they would normally clear us if London is online. No, London's gone offline. So they would clear us to, say, climb to 2,000 feet and then turn on track Goodwood, something like that. That's typical. So we'll just take off and then make our left turn. So we'll be in heading initially, which we've got. So I'll use heading select for that. We've got an MSFS 2300 and there's no air traffic control. So I'm going to put in the altitude window. Let's do 5,000 feet, just stay out of the way of any of the main London traffic for the initial bit. And we've got QNH 991, which is correct, and set, and it's not set on here. 991. There we go. You got to do it for the fuel page too, says Amy Parent, or go into data, then select master crossfield. I was too scared to do that. So is that what master crossfield does? It does everything. I was worried that would delete my beautiful flight plan. Thank you. Thanks, Amy Parent, for that. There we go. Excellent, 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 excellent. Look at the texturing. This whole thing is just... They've done such a good job. You can even move the pedals. They just don't miss a trick with the detailing. Don't miss a trick. Good. I keep saying good to stop me having to actually go anywhere. Let's put the terrain radar on. There we go. It's not a radar. Terrain display, I should call it. Let's get rid of that. And I think we can run the next checklist. Start approved. Okay, let's get the better pushback.
Ground to cockpit.
Hey, look at that. There is a Flyby next door. That's cool. So let's do a short pushback so they can... In fact, we could do a bit of a pull forward, couldn't we? So they have a chance. Pulling forward the dash without an engine running, though, you have to use that silly hydraulic lockout. But there we go. Let's see if we can make that work. Although then we'll be in the way of the... no, that's not good because we'll be in the way of James over there. I know what we'll do. We'll just do a short pushback.
Where you want to go.
We'll go there, and then we'll just go a beamer stand there.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Okay. Landing gear asks, is Goodwood in the same place as the racetrack? Yeah, exactly. That's the airfield. Yep. Very, very close to it. So tug is on the way. Start approved. Well, let's see what it asks us to do. Battery, master, main, aux and standby on. We've already done that. Door fueling lights out. So these are here, and then the door fueling light is a little light up here, one of the warnings up there. So that's no problem. APU bleed off. I didn't remember that. Why does that have to be off? Anti-collision red. Engines cleared for start. Anti-collision red. Oh yeah, by the way, that brings on the flight data recorder. So that little warning out there. There you go. You get it. It turns on. This is a big bugbear with the Dash 8. That warning is totally expected. Everything's fine, and yet it gives you a master caution for it. Likewise, when the doors open after landing, it dings. When you shut down an engine, it gives you the master warning. So the pilots flying this constantly hear the master warnings, which should really be reserved for actual situations where they need to draw your attention. They shouldn't be just getting
strap and adapter in position.
used all the time.
Release parking brake when ready to start pushback.
Disconnect GPU. So anti-collision red, engines are clear for start. Next is the after start. That's where this plane gets serious. Okay, let me just go to 1228. The good thing is they've made this as easy as the real one was. It's just lovely. 1228. We are Manta 324. Southampton traffic, Manta 324 pushing back from stand 3. We'll do a short push. Right, off we go. Brakes released. Start the clock. They're lifting us up. Landing gear says, I'm extremely glad that Flyby is back. Who doesn't have unconditional love for Flyby? Very popular, it sounds like. Fizz says, do they still have E-jets in their fleet? I don't believe they do.
Starting pushback, and you may start.
Oh, there you go. James says, I'll let you go first. And hold on Bravo behind you. Thank you. Off we go. Look at the windows, the grime. Ah, no, the Flyby's gone. Ah. That's a shame. Let us start up an engine. So we'll do number 2. Fairly easy in the dash. You move to the engine you want to start. And then you see start and you press it. It loses some electrical power there. It whips around the engine very quickly. So it's electrical, entirely electrical, hence that sort of whirring noise. And it whizzes around. And that's what it's going to do, because it's just spinning. Once you get to a certain NH, and I can't remember what it is, I think it's as soon as you can see NH, you can do this. And you bring the fuel, the propeller levers from fuel off to start feather. I might have missed my chance there. I think I did. Is it really that quick? Let's try engine 1. 1. Start. NH. Fuel flow. There's the fuel flow. Yeah, it's that quick. And then they'll just stay in the fully course position. You can see there the propeller stays resisting the air, as it were. They make a lot of buffeting like this, so when you're in the cabin you can feel the whole airplane. As in more master caution for all sorts of things.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Brake sets park.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Right, that's all good. The switch will recenter. Now we put 2 and select. Can't be NH. There must be a number I'm waiting for in the NH. I don't remember what it is though. And then fuel flow, and up it goes. Says, I lived near Luxembourg for a long time, and I was always happy when the Q400s of Luxair passed over. If you live near an airport with Dash 8s operating, you could always hear them a lot further away than the jets. So that should stabilise in the green. And then we need to get that temperature up of the oil as well. 6 degrees. Oh, it's risen quite quickly, actually. It was a thing on the Dash 8, on a cold day like this, if it was cold soaked and the temperature outside was 0 or whatever, you could find yourself sat there at the holding point trying to warm up the engines, because the temperature would be in the amber still. Rarely, very rarely a problem on the Dash, on the 320. There we go. Who's that over there? Is that another? It's not a Flyby. Good, so away they go, and we'll wave to them. This next checklist is a beast. Let's see what I can manage in advance. Jaden says, my aunt was a pilot flying the Dash 8 Q400, and she is the one who inspired me. The Dash 8 Q400 is my favourite plane after the A320. Excellent. Off he goes. Right, here we go. So this is when you're a passenger, you'll notice this. We're going to put these condition levers all the way forwards, and the engines will accelerate up to their sort of noisy disc position. We can't do anything until we've done that. That's what gives us lots of things like AC power, hydraulic power, and so on. There we go. I think the main bus tie is going to go off. We would test the anti-ice, so we can do that. You can open the intakes. They should go amber and say open. And then we put the ref speed on. And it says increase ref speed, so that is working. And now we're going to go to manual. And then I can select which set of boots I want inflated. So now the outer ones are inflated. And hopefully we'll see it. Look at that. Such a good add-on. I hope you can hear me. How's the audio? Is it too quiet? Oh, there's an alpaca. That's thanks, Lumex. There you go. Yeah, so you can inflate each section like that, and you'd go through them and check they all inflate properly. There you go, the next one. So that cycles through and breaks off the ice. It's a bit, it's a crazy system, and this would be prone to not working at this point if it being too cold. Ironically, because the water would get into the lines and then freeze. So you have to sort of give it a bit of time. So leave that off. Props you turn on and you check that, and they light it up as well. So you'll see pilots doing this. Some pilots can do all of these tests at once. They get quite used to it. Thanks for the follow. Good. So prop tests can go off. They've both worked. I'm going to leave the engine intakes on in case any ice builds up on the intake. It is all good. Excellent. Okay, good. That's great. I'm going to leave the pitot statics off for now. I'm going to leave the windshield warming up. It's a clear day, so unlikely to need it. I'm going to put the tax light on now because I forget that. Nothing to do up there. Nothing to do here. I don't think we've got the gens on, so we don't need the APU at all. That can say norm. Closed. That's fine. That's fine. And we'll have the bleeds on and min for now to give some air into the cabin while we taxi out. Moving down, flight taxi still in taxi. If you leave it in flight, you'll get these amber messages telling you the spoilers are up. Because the airplane doesn't know what it's doing, it thinks it's landing. Ridiculous. It's not ridiculous, but it's sort of a GA style thing, that. Exercise to me. If you press standby, it gets rid of the flight directors. So we don't have them on at all. So I'm going to put... Would we have the flight directors on? I'm going to put the yaw damper on. And I'm going to have... I don't think we have anything, because I'll engage the modes I want once we're up in the air. I will have outsail, though. Oh, it gives us wing level pitch hold. No. Not sure about that. Let's leave that off. I really don't remember. Years I flew this thing. It's funny. It just goes... Definitely got the speeds, except we're going to set the flaps. So we've said flaps... I think it could be a flap 10 takeoff. So if I now do the speeds... There we go, new speeds. So it does it for whatever speed you've got. It seems to have done 5 by default. So there we go. So 113. That's a bit better. I'm a bit worried. Flap 5 at what is a significant weight for a dash in calm winds could be a bit of a stretch. Especially if you want to derate the takeoff. So there we go. Landing gear says those engines sound like they constantly at full power. Indeed, indeed, indeed. It's because they're at disk. So what we can do is just nudge them forward, and it does that. Can you hear that difference? And real pilots do that. It does add a bit of fuel into the engine. It's not really what it's designed for, but it does make it quieter, especially if you're sitting there for a long time waiting at a holding point or anything like that. AB Parent says heading IS or toga on the power levers. Ah, yes, yes, yes. That's right. You press toga here, and it gives you wings level go around, and then I can put outsail and heading. Heading select, go around outsail. That's it. So now that's a heading down the runway. Outsail is armed. I really want to outsail armed or we'll sail through the altitude. That's the big problem with the Dash 8's auto flight system. Absolutely crazy. Good. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. Amy, was Amy were you a developer on this? Or involved? I think I remember that being the case. Certainly got all the knowledge on it, so I would be very surprised if you're not. Good. I had something else I wanted to do. So we set the flaps, and we can see them set to 10 here. We can do the flight controls when we're going. Trimmers we should have run actually before we went anywhere, but that's all fine and all set. Good. Oh yeah, we need to do this stuff. I'm going to do that with the checklist because I don't remember the order for the hydraulics. So external power APU, we've both off. Main bus tie is now off. We got that right. Bleed air 1 or 2 are on and min. Battery temperatures check. They're all low, then fine. Condition levers are max. Standby hide, PTU control go on. That's these two. Standby high PTU. Powers the standby hydraulic pressure. On. Checked. Open the hydraulic 3 isolation valve. Check it works, which it does. Elevator travel, full travel. So now on this little PFCS we can check the rudder does work. Yeah, sorry, the elevators. So the elevators are hydraulic. Yeah, this isn't... I thought they were. And then we turn it off. We're just making sure they work on the number 3 system. Flaps are at 10. De-ice pressure we've checked. Rudder travel, full travel. I've got it tied to the same, but you can have to set it separate, of course. Steering switch goes forwards to steering. Now you would have to check that before you go anywhere to make sure. Oh, and these are other tests we should have done. Takeoff warning test, yeah, that's great. ADC tests, anyway, won't do them now. Stall tests. There's so many tests to do in this airplane. But steering has to be off before you push back, otherwise you'll break the airplane when the engines start and the hydraulics power up. Anyway, that's now done. Windshield heat on. Flight taxi, radar, nav comms, PFD, MFD, ED, yaw damper on. Next is the taxi checklist. Taxi lights as required. Altimeters set. Flight instruments check. Tank aux pump 1 and 2 on. So these are the auxiliary fuel pumps. Let's just check the fuel page on here. There it is. Get a little pump on. Master caution. There's so many cautions. Yeah, I don't know what it's whinging about there. Auto feather select, so that is in the middle here. You can turn that on so that if the engine fails, it will feather the propeller for you automatically. Crucial, you won't get away with it. If you don't do that, you'll be dragged back into the ground. So important that system works. Flaps 10 set indicating trims set for takeoff. Neutral, neutral. Takeoff warning. So we're going to release the parking brake, hence it's a taxi checklist. The brake's released, and we are going to start moving forward. So let me just idle the engines again. Takeoff warning test. All good, no noise. Condition levers max, 1020. They're at max, but it's only going to give us lower than that while we taxi. It won't give us 1020 here. Pitot static heat can go on. Crucially, don't want to forget that. Get rid of the warning lights. Ice protection on. Well, it's not actually, we're not in any condensation, so it's cold, but I'm not expecting any additional ice to build up. Caution warning lights checked. Flight clearance reviewed. Cabin secure. Next is a lineup checklist. Good stuff. So, yeah. Let's do it. Southampton traffic, Manta 324, taxiing Bravo to backtrack runway 20. So, it won't move. Brakes released, but it won't move under its own power or idle power like the Airbus does. You need to apply a bit yourself. Range of the Q400, asks Alex. Well, it can take 5 tons of fuel. We're using 3 tons to go an hour and a half. So another 2 tons. I don't know. It's quite a way. Again, not Airbus territory. It is a regional aircraft. Yeah, the incident in the pool recently was an ATR, not a Q400. You cannot start both engines at the same time on a 320. It might work, but you're not supposed to. We do fly occasionally in the US on the channel. Amy Parent says, I did do the FMS ND and autopilot. There you go. You had the joy of this aircraft. Heading and pitch hold to 10 degrees. Oh, there we go. So to get pitch hold, you can select a vertical mode and then back, and it reverts to that. And then I assume I just scrolled it to 10. That might be the procedure now. I have a funny feeling that go around was a procedure when I flew this aircraft. That rings a bell. Definitely rings a bell. You can hear the rattling. So many things to rattle in this aircraft. It was not luxury. Jimbo says, do you like XP12? Yeah, I'm enjoying it. Here's Bravo. It's just nice to see this aircraft in particular get what the platform it deserves. Oh. Not as good at that as I thought. Right, let's set the brake. Let's just do... Elevator works, rudder works. I'm surprised the roll spoilers aren't moving. The roll spoilers should be moving as I am moving the yoke. Very strange. Let me just check that my axis is working. Oh, I know why. Of course. Flight control lock. Get rid of that. There we go. And now there's rudders. That's why I'm glad I did the flight control check. No one's ever said the opposite. No one's ever said I'm glad I didn't. And there you go. There you go. Now the ailerons move fully and the roll spoilers as well. So that's all good. And we can go back to our checklist. And he says Q8 pilot has rated this Q400 as the #1 XP12 add-on aircraft. I agree with him. Yeah, this was leagues ahead. Well, this certainly set a bar for X-Plane. Cabin crew, bleed air, they're going to go min, off, can't take off the bleeds on, anti-collision, white. I need to get out of the way, there's traffic behind us now. Transponder TCAS on, I think you hold it on out. Flight controls we've now checked free, flight taxi to flight, so as we line up we can put that to flight, raises the spoilers and landing lights on off. Next is the after takeoff, good. Southampton traffic, Manta 324, backtracking, lining up from runway 20. Clear on the approach, brakes released, off we go. We don't actually need that on, so I'm going to leave that off, put the lights all on. And off we go. George says, can you explain auto feather? So, auto feather, if your engines fail in the Dash 8, we've got no caution lights by the way, so I'll click that. I'm going to make a left turn to backtrack. Still clear, still clear. yeah, if your engine fails in a propeller aeroplane, and on a jet too, but it's not as noticeable on the jet, what happens is the air pushes against the propeller and it will windmill. And that causes a huge amount of drag, so it becomes like a wind turbine, and it feels the drag and it gets turned around by the air, which creates, so you lose the power from that side and then you get dragged by that side, and it's too much. The airplane can't handle it. So it has an auto feather system for takeoff and landing when it's most important, where what will happen is it will automatically feather the propeller. It will turn the blades across the air, so they're not turning, they're just pointing straight into it. And that's all that is. Oh, you can hear the hydraulics, the standby system, yeah. Andrew says, I'll have to join you guys on a flight sometime. Yeah, absolutely. Josh says it's important for flight control check. Control lock cause many crashes. Indeed, yeah. Control locks, you don't see them on larger aircraft, but you get them on this size. It's just because the ailerons, as we said, they're not hydraulic, so in the wind, this could just sort of rock about like this, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, there is. You have the flight control check. This says, I was watching a landing of the Q400 the other day, and the pilot monitoring had his hand below the throttle on final. Is that normal procedure? He moved them right on touchdown. It could be. It depends. Depends on the airline. Is that if the pilot monitoring was the captain, it could be that the captain was wanting to have their hand ready to go on the power levers if in the event of a go around if they needed to. It's not normal as far as I remember, but I remember some people doing it. Right, lining up. Yeah, Andy's been here since the start and still hasn't flown along. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Oh, overdone it a bit. Dash 8 doesn't need all that runway. Southampton traffic, Manta 324 taking off runway 20, left turn out to Goodwood. Right, so for takeoff, we're going to put the power levers from flight idle up to the rating detent. Oh, I didn't hear that. What I did meant to do is I was also going to do reduced NP. So we'll drop it. We can do a reduced takeoff. Let's do 86%. There we go. Yeah, all the way through, and then up we go. 10 degrees initially, then we'll pitch for V2, 116. And then once we get to acceleration, we'll lower the nose and go from there. Right, let's get going. So, taking off. So, flight idle. You've got to click through, and now we can go to the rating detent. There's no stabilization in the dash. You just put them forwards, and off you go. I don't think you need any yoke down because this aircraft's naturally nose down as it sits on the apron anyway, so it doesn't need any forward pressure. There's rotates. Pitching up, positive climb, gear up. Away we go. V2 116. Not entirely convinced that these weights have worked. V2 is significantly below our speed there, our minimum speed. So we'll just pitch at 10 degrees. 10 degrees seems to work. It's not an Airbus. It doesn't go up to 20 or 25 degrees. So there we are. Here's the default scenery, by the way. It's fine, but yeah. See, we need a little bit of right rudder just to counteract those big propellers and their yawing moment. So 1,000 feet, let's accelerate. So we'll take autopilot. We'll take flaps to 5. Take the bleeds on a min. And we'll put the condition levers to 900. Which should give us MCL, max climb power. We're in heading. Let's bring the airplane round towards Goodwoods. Oh no, not out. Oh, it's a terrible system this. Way too close together, way too similar. And now I'm going to engage IS. I'm going to select 210. Nose down, nose down, nose down. 210. Once we get above 170, flaps to 0. Shit, I need to stop saying that. Flaps to 0. It's flaps 0. Evening, is the captain flying the Majestic? No, this is the FlyJSim. Why spoilers out? It doesn't matter. This switch will automatically flick from taxi to flight when you get in the air, when you set takeoff power anyway. But it's normal to set it like that. So when you see a Q400 taking off, you'll see them have their spoilers up. So we'll level off at 5,000, and I'm just going to work out why I can hear things. We've got frequency there. Let's turn that off. 1,000 to go beep. Outside is engaged, very important. Let's just reduce the power a bit. Manual power here, entirely us. Very hard to hear the power as well, because of course the propellers will stay at the same RPM. So I've reduced it. You can't hear that reduction. And it's too much, even though the power sounds about the same. Right. You've got a thrust setting for takeoff, or just top of the green on the indicator. So you put it into the rating detent, and it would go to either normal takeoff power, N top, or you've got M top if you want maximum takeoff power, or you can reduce the takeoff power here, which is what I did this time. So there's Goodwood in front of us. We're heading towards it. I'm going to engage nav source FMS 1, and I'm going to do a direct. So DTO, point number 2, enter. And now we're going to connect from Goodwood. You can see already we're getting too fast. Got to remember that in the dash. It has a very low speed limit down at these levels. Right, so that's Goodwood. We're in heading select mode, so it's not good enough to just doing direct. We need to also engage LNAV. There it is. And now we're getting what we want. 2 things to do. Direct 2 things to do. Got to remember that in this one. Good. We can turn off the standby hired PTU. We can turn off the auxiliary pumps. Autofeather's disarmed on its own. Let's run the checklist. Half takeoff checks landing gear up. Flaps at 0. Climb power set. Lead air 1 and 2 on and min. Standby high PTU norm. Tank aux pump off. Autofeather off. Yeah, off. Turning and burning. Indeed, indeed. Engine T's and P's check. All looking good. All in the green. Ice protection as required. Temperature controls. Passenger signs. That's good. Next one is the cruise checklist. So let's set up our climb. We're going all the way up to the ceiling of 25,000 feet. You can go to 27,000 feet in a Dash 8 Q400 if they install the optional oxygen generators for the passengers. Can't imagine it's ever worth it for the sake of 2,000 feet. I wouldn't bother if it was my airline. So 25,000. Most importantly, got to press outsell, or it won't work. Outsell 25,000. Now we'll go IS 210. Back up to the flight rating detent, and we'll get max flying power. LNAV IS 210 outsell. We need to set standards, so we can just push standards and standard 1213 outsell 25,000. Good stuff. Leaving Southampton behind. Yeah, the default scenery has not really improved in X-Plane. I used to have Orbex for all of this stuff, but Orbex haven't released the XP12 versions yet. We can... Actually, no, we'll save that for 10,000. So we get good climb performance here, but it will rapidly tail off as we go up. See, I can't wait for the Microsoft Flight Simulator version. There you go. A lot of people looking forward to that. So I hope you enjoyed the departure. It's quite an interesting one. I'm going to forget at some point today that I need to do the throttle myself, indeed. Because every time you turn, it levels off. It becomes automatic. You don't think about it. It seems crazy now. You know, these aircraft do a lot of sectors, a lot of flying, a lot of going up and down, and yet they don't have an auto throttle. It's something you get used to and it becomes almost second nature. However, you lose that when you go onto a jet with auto thrust. It's got to be said. So I'm going to have to be acutely aware of it. It's going to be really interesting for the landing as well. So we'll talk about that in the cruise, how we're going to prepare for the landing. It's a really, really different machine. I do actually have a video made on how to land this aircraft, or my best attempt to give some guidance on it, because there's no actual answer that's always going to be perfect. I think it's a nice looking machine though. I really do. A bit like a mosquito with its legs dangling out when you have the gear down, but it's yeah. Great job on the sounds as ever from FlyJSim. So through 10,000 feet. James says, do you mind if I ask what speed your cruise is so I can say 100? We'll be cruising at 230 indicated. Crazy, I know. We can accelerate to sort of 270 in this flight range, but above 20,000 feet, that reduces again. So yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to stay behind us, to be honest. Alright, landing lights off. Taxi lights should have gone off actually already. Thanks, Aki, for the follow. I'm going to bleed to norm. I feel like min isn't going to be good enough. So now we leave it at IS 210, and then once the pitch is 5 degrees, I'm going to force it into pitch hold because we won't be able to keep 210 up until the cruise. There's a bit of a tailwind, 15 knots. Yeah, it's got woeful performance as it goes higher, but amazing performance low down. It's just the way turboprop engines are. Fizz, I always thought the Q400 was ugly in an endearing kind of way, if that makes sense. Yeah, I can see that. I think it looks sleek. I think it looks quite mean on the ground. It's got that nice low nose, which is quite popular with the more modern aircraft. Dreamliners and 350s have that sort of style now. Yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's cool. It looks quite purposeful, but also not, I don't know, like lots of straight lines, which are quite unusual, perhaps. Aviation, hello to you. Mark says, clouds are a bit meta. Yeah, we've still got this endless little dots thing. I hope they can sort that out. Right. Still slightly above 5 degrees, so we're doing well on the performance today. Fuel temperature only on the left tank on the Dash 8, strangely enough. There it is. What else can we see? Electric systems. More engine instruments, but you get all of that stuff that you need there, really. Fuel. Done. Doors. If you press all, I think it cycles. So you press it. Yeah, I don't think anyone bothers that. It defaults to the electrical page. Anyway, we'd have it on nav at this point, most likely. You can, of course, switch it to engine, just have the engine moved over there. There we go. Thanks, Esco, for the follow. Rara says the CRJ 700 and 900 are my primary sim aircraft. I love doing regional flights and have fond, real memories of catching late night jumps to and from Las Vegas. Excellent. Excellent. Richard says Dash 7 for life. Yeah, there you go. Leanne agrees. It's a nice looking plane. Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. The cockpit's not very nice looking. Love the physics they've done. You can drop stuff. Never seen that before. By the way, something we should have checked when we did that icing stuff is that you check here to see these de-ice pressures drop as it changes boots to prove that it is working. So that's how you can tell that they're inflating. But I don't think there's a way for me to show that properly. I'm sure it works, seeing as I can even move the air vent around. We're in control, by the way, of our nav source is what's in control. And you can see that over here it says HSI across, telling me that this side's nav source is in control. Because you'll notice nav source is repeated on both sides, so you can change it for each side. That torque number's dropping automatically with the max climb. We've now got to about 5 degrees pitch, so I'm going to press IS again and go into pitch hold. And now we'll just leave it here. Incredibly dangerous. Like this, it's unbelievable to fly in this mode. You've got no protection at all. But That's what we're doing, because the idea is 5 degrees and at power on is it shouldn't stall. It's a bit like the unreliable airspeed manoeuvre in the Airbus. Sergio says it's 25,000 feet in average cruise out for a Q400. Absolutely. Thanks for the subscription, Rosita. Thanks for the follow, Triton. Yep, 25,000 feet. That's its ceiling unless you install the optional oxygen, and it's perfectly reasonable. This airplane at any weight, mostly any temperature, can usually get straight up to 25,000 to its ceiling. This is the microphone for the voice recorder. That's me pressing things through the through the cowling. This falls off all the time. And there's the spigot for the ice that I was telling you about. And then there's got its own light there, which you can get to by pressing that. Won't show up. Obviously it's too bright, but there you go. Yeah, this visual model is... it's translated really nicely. Also, the flight deck doesn't seem too dark, but it could be the low sun over there. X-Plane seems to do better when the sun's like that. Just look at the detailing. Everything about it, every texture. Look at these. These are the gear pins. Beautiful. Says if you want TARA on the T-Cache, you can do that on the ArcDo. Select transpond the code, then click expand button. Ah, there we go. Thank you. So we've got TA only. Yeah, good spot. Excellent. So select it. Expand. TARA. And I'll leave it in norm. And then page 1, 2. TARA. Thank you very much, Amy. If we do second page, I don't know what the difference is there. Just list the volumes and the markers and so on. Maybe a few extra volume listings. 2,000 meters to go. Again, check outsell, triple check outsell. Just like Concorde, my last stream was, funny enough, my last stream was XP12 on this channel on YouTube. Though we did, of course, do a little fun Twitch stream in the 7.3. But Concorde also has this daft outsell system where you have to tell it you want to level off at the altitude you put in the window. Utterly crazy. Piano Learner says, hi Captain, did you see the recent JFK runway incursion? I did not, no, I missed that. James says, I have my clinical assessment coming up with work, and we get a lot of info-based crew resource management based on aviation. Have you any advice on how to improve? Goodness me, I wouldn't like to suggest I know enough about what you do, James, in terms of I couldn't be helpful in that sense, but I know medical fields do use aviation crew resource management because aviation was relatively at the front of the curve for that. A lot of industries carried on with the whole most experienced person knows best, but it's a huge deal in aviation having the second pilot speak up and so on, and having the commander use the resources of the people around them as opposed to just sort of treating them like trainees all the time, I suppose. You treat them like they have less experience because they do, and they're not in command, and they may have to accept your decision at some point, but at the same time it's a fine balance between outstar, there you go, a fine balance between keeping a grip on the operation and also not overruling people or making them clam up so they don't help. But yeah, I couldn't possibly give any good advice in this context, I'm afraid, James. Flying for Fun says, an American 777 crossed an active runway as a Delta 737 was cleared for takeoff. I think the Delta stopped within 1,000 feet clear of the 777. Ooh. And where was that? Is that JFK? Right, returning. Crossing the channel. Still haven't crossed the channel. Yeah, that sounds bad. That incursion. I mean, I've seen the videos of how air traffic control in JFK can be. Right, heading selects. Around we go. Good. So we'll bring the power now to cruise. So we're at 900, so we can bring them back one more stage to 850. You do not want to bring them any lower. I don't think it would let you because it has a minimum stop, but you still don't want to bring the levers back there. So now it goes a bit quieter. Maximum cruise 68%. I'm going to get it to 230 knots. Got James behind us, catching up rapidly, I'm sure. It was JFK, yeah. Interesting. So they were, and AA was cleared to cross 3-1 left, but instead of turning right across 3-1 left, it went straight across 4 left where the other was rolling. Rolling got to 90 knots. Oof, that is scary. Yeah, that's not good. I am on VATSIM, Oliver. Cisco asks, how much does this cost? I don't remember. It's available on the X-Plane All store. They often have little sales and things, so probably varies a bit. It's not super cheap. I think it's a full price. You know, this is a complex add-on. There's no doubt about it. They've modeled so many things, but this one is easy to, you know, if you're happy spending money, I put the winch as a norm, happy spending money on add-ons, then this is not a bad deal. Put it that way. It's lovely, but you do have to commit to learning it a little bit, getting used to it again. So this is a Dash 8 Q400. Oh, contrails, nice. Those clouds look inverted to me. Very strange. Amy Parent says, so it won't let you set intermediate positions because they might look like levers, but they're actually just each a set of 5 switches, one for each D10. If you go into feather though, aha, there we go. Okay, so yes, so if you do that, it puts it to 900. If you put it halfway, it doesn't do anything because it needs to hit the switch. There you go, 850. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what would happen if you put it to feather. Not ideal. But thanks, Amy. Steve says you can see a video of the incursion, and that's aviation. I'll have to look at that. That does sound interesting. Welsh says, what would happen after a runway incursion like that? Would the pilots have to do extra training, maybe time out of the plane, etc.? So, Welsh Kebab, that's a great question. I can't speak for any airline in particular, of course. It depends on the context, doesn't it? Of course. So, if they incurs onto a runway because of absolute gross negligence, then they'll be fired. If they incurred onto a runway because of distraction or workload, because of things that they were doing, but that they were supposed to be doing, but maybe they did them at the wrong time, or they were trying to deal with other issues, or the cabin called them up at that moment because the passenger's feeling ill, or there was a problem with the load sheet, or there was, you know, there's so many things that can happen. And if something like that happens, you know, gross negligence, I'm talking like you'd have to be willfully or just outright ignoring SOPs, to you know, not trying maybe, but just not doing your job. But if they were trying and it went wrong like that, then yeah, it's sure, time in a simulator maybe, practice of workload management. And this is, by the way, I'm not in any way speculating on what happened on that incident. We're just talking about generic, what if an incident happens involving things like a runway incursion. But most likely, I would say 9 times out of 10, and I don't know that's for sure, but my guess would be pilots would have some sort of a discussion, and if the managers thought that they needed it, they would maybe get a bit of extra support, a bit of additional training, just to sort of remind them what's going on there. Runway incursion plane got a number to call. There you go. Yeah, well, they would. Amy says, if you put it into feather, it goes, okay, boss, and the FADEC feathers the prop and reduces. Goodness me. So yeah, so you can command the feather just by moving these levers back. I'm sure I've heard about that happening, where somebody moved it, instead of going to 850, they moved it to start feather. Crazy. Yeah. Again, I would say that's design, because if it's switched, you don't need it. These levers are left over from mechanical airplanes. They didn't need to do it like that. Could have just done an automatic system, which is what they have really. Just they've added levers. Steve says that they did get a call. They didn't have a clue what they'd done wrong. See, there you go. So it's likely there's going to be a whole host of things. There's any incident like that, and again, I'm not talking specifically about that one, but you know, we can sit here and say, oh well, they shouldn't have incurred on the runway. But the thing is, well, why did they? How did they? Did they what information did they have? What mental model were they working on? What did they have in their minds? What were the NOTAMs saying? You know, what was the weather like? Where was the sun? Where were was the stop bar lights? Were the red lights up? Was the air traffic incursion sensors working? The list is endless, and that's just for just that, you know. And there's so many of that sort of thing out there, as in that sort of, you know, there's so many incidents out there that could happen. So this is why you can't ever even begin to guess at this stage. You could find out that at the moment that they rolled onto the runway, the brakes failed. You know, who knows? It's just so it's crazy to even begin, because anyone who flies aircraft for a living knows that you can't possibly judge anything from outside the flight deck. This is why it takes investigations so long to work out what happened, because every little thing, every thought, every emotion in the pilots will matter as to how that eventually did happen, or any incident happened. So that's my my usual high horse rant about judging incidents. And I'm not saying anyone here is judging incidents. You guys are absolutely great. You always talk about it in such a respectful way. But you see it on some parts of the internet, or you see, you know, you get like a new incident, and we all want information, but it really, yeah, you start seeing the clickbait thumbnails straight away and so on, and you just sort of go, oh, because then it's just setting people up for an impression that it may not be true. Landing Gear says there should be more focus on preventing this from happening in the future rather than simply punishing those to blame. Exactly. If they report it and they own up to it, and I'm not talking about them in particular, I'm saying if you have an incident and you report it and up to it, and you weren't being grossly negligent at the time, the airline should look after you. But it depends where you are in the world. It depends on your airline. They should look at it as an opportunity to learn, figure out how it happened, and if they think something you did was directly responsible and it's something you can change, then they'll say so and give you the training. That's what you'd hope. Samantha Eastport says, I've seen cockpit videos where one pilot had the hand in the feather position so the levers couldn't be moved to that position while the other pilots moved them. Exactly, and that was something we used to do. So, exactly, it became a thing where one pilot will put the hand across the start feather position so that the other pilot, the pilot doing it, because pilot flying wouldn't do it, so the pilot doing it would do that. And I'm pretty sure pilot flying would have to check it as well or something. So it was something like pilot monitoring would put their hand across the start feather, pilot flying would check they'd done that, and then they would move the levers, something like that. It's not such an issue here. Big problem after takeoff, so less likely after takeoff because you're moving to the 900, but even so. Mr. Tomboy says, is the Q4XP smooth for you? I get a lot of stutters. Yeah, I can't say. It's not the best performance ever. It's a heavy add-on, I know that. It always has been. But nothing concerning me. AC455, thanks very much, AC455, thanks for coming and moderating. And they said, I posted the video in Discord on the instant for you to look at. Yeah, I would have a look, because that one's interesting to me, just because you get a bit of an interesting idea of what air traffic control is like all around the world. Flying for Fun says, we had an ATR with a smashed window screen divert to Exeter on the way to Newquay this week, and someone online was backseat flying saying there was no need to divert without the information. Exactly. Yeah, you can't do it. You just can't possibly know what conversations they had. Maybe they only spare windscreen in the country for an ATR was sitting in Exeter Airport, you know. We can't possibly know these things. Ah, there we go. Amy says, in real life there's a gate between 850. That's right. I was thinking it's just crazy if you could just slide it back. You have to lift it up to get it to go back to start feather. Actually lift it. Yeah. So you would hope you couldn't do it. But remember, everyone turns these from this position to start feather after landing. So the muscle memory is in there to do that. And that's the problem. It's that muscle memory. So when you apply that muscle memory at the wrong time, it's the reason you get aircraft take off and instead of raising the gear, they bring the flaps in. That sort of thing. Flying for Fun says there's a funny P3D video from probably 6 or 7 years ago of someone doing shared cockpit and they feather both engines. Yeah, that could happen in the sim because there's no gate. I've got it assigned to my spoiler axes, so my spoilers on my Thrustmaster TCA do my condition levers, so I could just slide it through to off and shut down the engines by accident. Simo says, I have always loved the Q400, flew in it 9 times at the Olympic, but unfortunately they have retired them this year. Luckily we can pay them respect via the team. Exactly, yeah. I don't know why they're being retired. It's still a crazy low fuel burn. I think the real aircraft wouldn't even burn 475. That seems slightly high. I'm pretty sure it's about 800 kilos total. Wingflex, thanks for the follow. So there we go. Who said about traffic lights? I saw a comment I wanted to answer and I've lost it now. Mr. Banana says, I feel like a traffic light system at runway crossings would be a good thing to start implementing, adding a visual cue. So, most airports have holding stop bars, big red lights on the ground that you are not allowed to cross. Some airports have those all over the place, and most airports have them before the actual runway, but not all airports use them. Places like Geneva, the stop bar is just a flashing bar, so if you think you're clear to cross it, you can just cross it. The magic of the red stop bars, which not all airports use, but they're common. The magic of a red stop bar is you're not allowed to cross it till it goes out. So air traffic control will clear you to line up on the runway or even take off, but you still won't cross it until it goes out, so it's doubly confirmed. If you just have a stop bar with just flashing warning lights like Geneva, you've still only got one level of protection, as it were. So I prefer the full red stop bars, but that of course means you need extra systems, extra controllers and all sorts to operate it as well. Yeah, piano learners hit the nail on the head there. If you have the threat of firing hanging over you, then you're less likely to report, which makes everything less safe, so it's better to have retraining. Spot on. It's called a just safety culture. That's the what most airlines should be going for. And the idea is, unless you've done something willful or grossly negligent, you are aiming to improve the safety and report incidents. It's what everyone wants to get better. So, you know, what airlines don't want to see is a sudden reduction in reports, because that suggests not that the incidents aren't happening, but it suggests that people aren't reporting, and they need to figure out why. That's a very uncomfortable position for an airline if they suddenly get a reduction in reports because people are scared. Welsh Kebab says the follow the green system seems to be really interesting. Not sure it would have prevented this though. Follow the green system is good because it would have stop bars as well. So following the greens is when I was saying there about red stop bars. So they're just lines in the taxiway that light up red. We don't see it in the sim because it requires an extra controller to do it. There'll be a ground controller and then a controller doing those stop bars usually at busier airports. So you just follow the green lines, and they won't even give you instructions always. They'll say just follow the greens and roughly where you're going, but it does take a lot of manpower, I suppose, to run a system like that. Because with follow the greens, the risk is if one controller's doing it, then they could get overloaded and miss something and forget to change a light somewhere. You know, it must be really hard to do. Lone Sparrow says signs, lights, lines are much harder to see at night in real life than most would imagine, especially at JFK where all the lights tend to blend together. There you go. So we could find out that the stop bar lights at this particular intersection were obscured by long grass that wasn't cut, or by rain that meant that they the lines got washed out. Or, yeah, there's so many things, so many things. Chief Geo says, I always struggle keeping a constant speed. Yeah, so all I'm doing is just getting it roughly right. We wouldn't... I think you would just fly sort of a bit below the red bar all the time. I don't remember actually having specifics. No, actually, no, we did. We had a speed we could go to if we were early. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what we used to go to. Just a bit slower. Richard says, is anyone doing an automated taxi guidance system? It's easy enough to automatically ID an aircraft. I don't know what that means, Richard. How do you mean? Right, we're getting to ResMe. So there is LFBB, LFOB. We're getting there. We are getting there. Zoom out of it. So while we're sat here in the cruise, let's do the cruise checklist. Altimeters are set, power set, cabin pressure, lights. So next will be the descent checklist. Airbus is working on letting the A320 taxi on its own. Goodness me. Richard says, it's like the follow the green system, only automated. Well, yeah, I wouldn't know the difference. I suppose a controller would have better insight on that. I mean, you know, Airbus are testing taxi on their own aircraft, but who's going to pay for that? And likewise, they've tested automatic takeoffs, but no one does them, as far as I'm aware anyway. X-plane looking really nice up here. Clouds looking good. That view through looking nice. Still a bit of a shame about the textures down there, but this is nice. Look at the texturing on that tail, lovely. And I don't know why, this seems to be a common thing now. We had it with Concorde, we had it with the default A330. Something about the yaw dampers in X-plane. It shouldn't be wobbling like that, you really feel that. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. Oh, lovely. Amy says that'll be long range cruise, I think, but that's booked to QRHB that varies based on ISO dev weight. There you go. So there would be a speed we would go slow down to. But the cruise speed, normally I think you just go fast. See that there, right now, that's one of the best looking skyscapes I've seen in any simulator. That is so good. It has its moments. They've done an amazing job considering where this was in X-plane 11. I know Microsoft Flight Simulators treats us, but that is so good looking. The soft lighting, the back of the clouds, really nice. Not always, but this one is looking just that moment. Yeah. Yeah, that's just great. The shadows of the other clouds on each other. And we had that thing in Concorde, didn't we? That sort of shelf of clouds, which is something you see as well. That was really good. I've got hopes. I've got hopes. See, that doesn't look quite as good. They look very tall. I'll be getting nervous. That looks like a wall of CVs. The IC Model G, I don't know, we don't really experience it much. I think it's pretty good. Bob Picker says, I think X-plane looks better than Microsoft Flight Simulator in some aspects. Microsoft Flight Simulator is very saturated, has bad shadows and intrusive reflections. There you go. Different opinions. Chief Geo says, I really like the ventral fins on the Q400, such a unique feature. Yes, that would be because when the test pilots flew it, they must have not liked something, so they had to glue some bits onto the airplane to make it fly right. That's why the 737's got bits all over it. It's got vortex generators, it's got the fins and the nacelle fins and all sorts. The Dash 8 did well just to have those two, I suppose. Probably a bit of rear stability. Beautiful. I hope I'm getting these screenshots. I'm trying. Oh, yeah. Things definitely improved once I turned up the lighting, the SSAO. Definitely helped. I didn't realise I had it set to low before, which partly explained my dark flight decks. Ricardo, yes, the Dash does typically fly just at its maximum or anything above 20,000 feet. And he says they'll get there. Everyone forgets the sober clouds like a mashed potato. Yeah, Microsoft Flight Simulator's gone through phases. X-Plane's got a bit of time to get them improved, but they are just so far ahead of what they had before. Considering we're in the same, this is. Everyone says this is like, well, not everyone, but some people say this is like X-Plane 11.6, and I can see why, but these are so much better. Thanks for the follow, Tom, Wingflex, Muck. Giant says, when did you last fly the Dash 8? Years ago. Years and years ago. CEO says, is there visible icing on aircraft in XP12? I couldn't answer that. I don't know, I'm afraid. I don't know. I hope so. Microsoft Flight Simulator on Ultra 4K is amazing looking, says Blendinator. Absolutely. I'm not trying to take anything away from the visuals of Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's breathtaking. Every time we load it up, you sort of go, oof, yeah. Just flying the approach over the scenery. We did that flight into Bilbao, didn't we? Just stunning, stunning, stunning sim. Ralph, good evening. Thanks for joining us. Danny says, I wonder what sort of PC you need to run it at Ultra 4K. Yeah, I don't know. I run it at 1440p Ultra. Ed says, I have to say, the more and more I see of X-Plane 12, the more I tend to get it. Fair enough, Ed. Just be aware. I use both sims, and if you said to me today you can only have one, I would take Microsoft's. Personally, because now it has some airliners like Phoenix, the fly-by-wire, the PMDG, and the A300s, and it's only gonna get more. Whereas, X-Plane, that X-Plane 12, we've lost the Beluga, and then we know there's like the 757 coming from Microsoft. So there's so many coming to Microsoft, and it already is there. The visuals are there. The handling, we know, depends on each aircraft, but my main thing is in Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you want to go and do visual flying, you can do it. It's included with the base price. X-Plane is lovely, and I like it. Look at that. Oof, another screenshot. But this stuff down here is a problem if you want to fly around low level. No problem for what we're doing today, and the default airports are super. It's just learning a new sim is a challenge, so I wouldn't want anyone to take on that challenge without being aware of what they could experience. When I got Microsoft Flight Simulator, trying to set up the cameras and stuff, oh, what a nightmare. Ricardo says, if the X-Plane does a deal with Sony to drop on PlayStation console, they will give Microsoft Flight Simulator a good run. Yeah, that would be quite something. I think Microsoft's what Asobo have done with their weather, and thank goodness they did, but their weather and their scenery, they did totally change the game, and that's been good for us, because now look what we get in X-Plane, which we didn't before. You can actually see the clouds were growing. Why they were growing suddenly. See, there's little things like this. That's very strange. That's a strange feeling. Yeah, we're sinking into the murk. Landing gear says the airports, I believe, are better. They are, but Microsoft and Asobo have added so many detailed airports for free into Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's hard. I want to acknowledge that as well. The amount of free content they've given us over the years is really quite something. Mr. Tomo says the weather is still limited in Microsoft Flight Simulator, no CBs or TQs. But they do have things like haze in valleys and so on, which I think is give credit to them. Their rain showers look remarkable, just beautiful. when you get a big rain shower passing out under cloud. The rain engine in X-Plane is better though in terms of on the windscreen. I don't like the one in Microsoft Flight Simulator that much. It's okay. It's serviceable, but for me, the X-Plane one, stunning. When you've got all the rain droplets moving with the wind and then the wiper moving out of the way. Yeah, really, really, really super. There's no Cirrus. That's a good point. Yeah, I've never really noticed that. Did we have Cirrus in X-Plane? FSX used to have loads of Cirrus. That was my favourite sort of preset setting. Birdman says the clouds look like Yorkshire pudding rising over the ocean. Yeah, they are. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And he says we're really spoiled to have two fantastic flight sims. That sums it up really. Yeah, we are. And you know, there's no doubt that they must help drive each other. X-Plane has a replay tool. I can go for that. That's a big bonus. And I think the X-Plane cameras are... Oh, there's the Speedbird trying to stay behind us. X-Plane has a lot of easy cameras that you can use. I think they're not done quite as well in Microsoft all the time. Now this doesn't look so good. Not sure what's going on with this picture. It's a bit odd. Some of these shadows. Oh, James is behind. Oh, that's somebody else then. $200 knots. There's James. So that's somebody else up there. We're making good progress though. Almost halfway. I've got the overlay working. You should all be very pleased to see with a bit of work. That was caused by I didn't have X-Plane XP installed into XP12, so no wonder it didn't work. Because of course it runs as a separate application from Microsoft Flight Simulator, but in X-Plane you need to put it into the root as a plugin. Hayden says, I guess the ride comfort is better for passengers in the A320 series versus the ATRs. I don't know about the ATR. I have been on one as a passenger. But yes, the comfort on the A320 is significantly better than the Dash 8 was. For me, it's partly the bouncing around, but also the Dash 8 was very rigid wing. The wing didn't flex at all. So if you're sitting in the flight deck, you could look out in turbulence and you'd see the wing not even moving. Like it would just do this sort of tiny vibration, as it were. In the Airbus, you'll see it bouncing, and to me, it's like suspension. I feel like I don't have any proof of this. I feel like the wing was more rigid, maybe because it's smaller. But it, oh, sorry, it's really lagging for you there on the stream. Yeah, I feel like the wing was more rigid. So on the dash, you'd feel the turbulence, any turbulence, and you're just bouncing around, absolutely getting thrown about. Whereas the A320, you can sort of soak it up. Cisco says, I'm not sure if you answered already, but what would be the average sector distance flight time for one of these? Under an hour in Europe. Usually up to like an hour. Anything over an hour would be sort of getting into, you could get away with a jet territory. But I'm sure in America they fly them a lot further than that regularly. Someone asked earlier, they said, how do you choose your flights? Because they were saying that they get it's a bit of a pain for them to choose. What I do is I do find it hard to choose my flights now. I used to just fly all around Europe. We used to do a lot of this sort of thing, really, just sort of local UK airline style flights. Right, entering icing for sure. Static air temperature minus what? It's pretty cold, minus 46, but still. I'm going to put the engine intakes with the props. At minus 46, we shouldn't really get that much ice, but we would get a nice detected message. Actually, you can see there it's increased the oil temperature limit for having the heating on. So we're actually in the amber. Yeah, so nowadays I will think about what airplane I want to fly and what sort of routes it's suitable for, so you get like an idea of length. So I'll start with the airplane I want to fly, and then I will think about where I've flown recently and try and avoid that. And also we've been alternating, haven't we? So one in Europe, one away. So our last flight, to be fair, our last flight was in Concorde, so that brought us back to Heathrow, but we started in America. So I figured I was allowed to do this one today. And then the next flight we'll do something somewhere else in the world. Maybe down in Australia again. It's been a little while since we've done Australia. Looks like light icing on the screen. It does a bit, although we have the heating on. I think that's just a texture effect glitching, I think. Can't see anything. There's James back there. There he goes, 257. These external views are really hurting the frames. Don't know what's going on there. Thanks, Bring It Rain, for the follow. James says New Zealand was my favourite so far. That was an amazing group flight. Yeah, it wasn't officially a group flight, was it? I think there's a lot of people flew along as we all arrived into Queenstown. Yeah, that was good. We could do New Zealand again. I think I found that New Zealand livery, but with the proper wave on it, which I wanted. Casablanca to Freetown, says Landing Gear 1. There you go. I might have to start a section in Discord for route suggestions. I might have to, because I am struggling a little bit these days. I often forget the ones that are recommended in stream. So the Discord could be quite a good source of inspiration. Flying for Fun says, why is whenever humans have the ability to go anywhere in the world, either in a sim or on Google Earth, they always choose to go to their home and their home base? I'm guilty of it too. Yeah, I know, me too. I mean, when I started the channel, I was a little bit more nervous, perhaps, of streaming. So I liked to stream in an environment I knew because the streaming was unfamiliar. But now I think there's quite a nice dynamic between all of us, so I feel quite comfortable streaming in more of a variety, because flight simming isn't easy. Like there's only one person doing it, so there's no backups, there's no checks, there's no extra pilot, and then you don't have the same level of safety. You don't have the training. I don't know half these airplanes, so you're open to things not working. And then if you add in the fact that you're in a different part of the world, then it keeps adding up, doesn't it? And then the sim can do its own thing. So like in the Concorde stream, of course, we on our first takeoff went fine. We got in the air and got underway, and then it went out of trim, didn't it? And we lost control of the airplane. And that's because in the real Concorde, the flight engineer would have just done that for you. But I had to go into a sub menu and do it, and I thought I could do it later because I had no reason to believe I couldn't. And lo and behold, we paid the price. But that's something that I don't mind now that we're established, as it were. That's a long talk about that. But anyway, yeah, so we are going to keep flying. We're going to force ourselves to fly in different places. I really enjoyed flying into Singapore with the A310. I sort of want to take the A310 for another flight. I have a nice... actually, I've got some thumbnails ready to go. I don't normally do it like this. I can put them up and ask which one you want to use. Where is it? So, I've got... yeah, so our options are... We've got... I'm going to spoil this for you guys as you're all here. I think you can have a bit of a say. So for the next stream, hopefully within the next couple of days, we could have Pan Am A310. It's a nice thumbnail, that one. We could have the Phoenix A320 in the Manta livery from Paddy, converted this same livery. So maybe we'll mix that up. Maybe we'll do that next time, this time after. Or we could have an Ibex CRJ. So that'd be in Japan. So America or Japan, or we could take the Phoenix anywhere we want. Those are all options at the moment. James says, I've just bought a 172 model Concorde Airfix model to do when my exams are done. 32 years old and still excited for it. Oh, excellent, James. Enjoy that. Enjoy that. I'm working on a 172 F16 at the moment, an Airfix kit. I've already got it all wrong. All my colours are wrong because the paints that it came with were all dried up because I got it on sale. So I've had to make up my own livery, but I'll do my best. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm going to do a poll on YouTube. Seems to be the only way to do this. And this has got to love the old Clipper course on. Yeah, it's a beautiful thumbnail. I can't wait. I'll probably use all of these thumbnails. I'm sure I will. But let's just do a poll. Now, when I say this will be the next stream, there's no guarantee. But also, I might do a Twitch stream in the meantime, you know. So it's not guaranteed that this will be the only options. I'll put the location. I probably should have done this as a community post, actually. There we go. So that's on YouTube. If you are interested in voting, head there and leave a like while you're there if you don't mind. It makes a big difference to the channel. Duncan likes Japan. Ethan likes Pan Am. Yeah, it's a really good Pan Am thumbnail. I will be using them all anyway, so don't worry. But yeah, the Pan Am one is a lovely livery, and that's the right aeroplane, isn't it? The right era. Mr. Banana says, if given the chance, I'd always choose Pan Am. Yeah, I thought that would be popular. Birdman says, lots of micro stutters and lighting doesn't look great. Sorry, loved XP10, but now Microsoft Flight Simulator won't get back. Fair enough. Totally fair enough. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, it's a close run. So Phoenix Manta has fallen behind, but if you want the CRJ, you have to fight for it now. Pan Am A310 has pulled ahead. You know what's funny? In my mind, everyone wants me to fly the A320 all the time by default, and I like flying the A320 on the channel a lot, but I have particularly lately grown to enjoy flying all these other aeroplanes, the variety that offers. So it's quite interesting to me to see that the CRJ and the A310 have pulled ahead. Especially, I worry with the A310. I've done a lot of A310 videos and streams. And I was worried that you were bored of them, but it seems that it's still a popular option. And he says, vote Clipper, you know, it makes sense. The answer is I'm quite bored of seeing the Phoenix left, right and centre. So maybe if I did the fly-by-wire, would that be the top choice? I don't know. Alex says, what are your XP12 settings? I've got everything set. Well, actually, no. I can't show you right now because we're on VATSIM, but I turned off draw parked aircraft, crucially. I've got SSAO turned up. I've got most of the things set to high or ultra. So most of the effects on like sort of ultra, but the vegetation and density and all that sort of stuff just on sort of medium to high. Evening, Sammy. Richard says, gonna have time for a group flight anytime? Last one was Africa Safari. Oh, that was a long time ago. That's a really long time ago. Okay. Yeah, I need to sort out a group flight. There you go. That's another one we need to do. I want to do one. Group flights, Richard, are surprisingly hard to set up for me. Graham says, don't forget the 146. You know, funny enough, the 146 was also an option. Yeah, 146 needs to be used. Yeah, agreed. I saw that the other day. I was thinking, oh, I should use the 146. Why didn't I? What did I have? What I have found is sometimes I go back to an older airplane and then I find it doesn't work. I haven't updated it. Especially Microsoft Flight Simulator aircraft. Feels like Team Spirit says would be good to see the fly-by-wire sometime. Quite a bit has changed, especially in the experimental builds. Okay, very good. Ebo says any video where the captain is out of his element is always entertaining to look at. There you go. Yeah, I thought that might. Maybe that does help. James says, do you mind if others use the mantle liveries for fly-alongs? I've always heard off. James, you are more than welcome to. The mantle liveries are there to be used. Absolutely. No problem at all. Please do. That's why I link them. Yeah. Yeah, the 146 is great. We will do the 146 again, but I don't have a thumbnail ready to go for that. So those are the current options for just the immediate one. Mihai, thanks for the follow. Richard says, I'm quite aware of how big a pain group things are. Yeah, I mean, the group ones, it's fine, and everyone's very good about it. For me, the tricky part is, I'm always out of my element because we do them in smaller aircraft. I have to sort of look up what we're going to do, where we're going to go, and hope we can find interesting things as we go. And we don't always manage that. So I have to plan it out and work out the timings and make sure that roughly it's going to fit in and have a bit of a plan. Or we can land here, or we can skip this one if we need to, and so on. And they're great fun. I absolutely love doing them, but I am guilty of shying away from that additional work. So I should do it. Ronchi says Pan Am DC-6 flight across America would be cool. Yes, DC-6 was also on my radar, but I haven't got a thumbnail ready to go. Yeah, I've been thinking about the DC-6. The other problem is, of course, I'd need to just totally relearn it because I haven't flown it for so long. We've got that excellent Air 2000 livery for that. Right, does Geneva have anyone there? Yes, it does. It's going to get serious now. So I'm going to start preparing for the arrival. How is that vote doing? 113 votes. I'll leave it for another. We'll give it 10 minutes total time. Looks like the Pan Am's pulled ahead quite well. Although CRJ is popular, so that'll be the one. We'll do. I'll tell you what. We'll do the CRJ after the Pan Am. I can do them in this order, as it were, or I can forget the A320 if no one wants it. What we'll do with the A320 is we'll go and do something more unfamiliar, because that's the aircraft I like doing unfamiliar things with, non-precision approaches, visuals and things like that. Sammy says group flight would be really cool. Just waiting for my TCA throttle to show up on Friday. Can't wait to try it out. Yeah, TCA throttle, great. It's a great piece of kit. So much flexibility. Richard wants DC-6 over the Andes. Okay. So, let's see. ATIS. Right, that's where I was. So sorry, I'm going to get a bit quiet on the chat now as we just sort of prepare for the arrival. And also my chat's lagging behind significantly there. So we've got information Bravo down in Geneva. How wintry is it? It's an ILS runway 22, which is what we have set up, so that's good. Transition level of 90. Wind 180 at 5, so light headwinds. Visibility 10 k's or more, few 2,400 feet. Broken 6,000, so it's going to be cloudy. Temperature 4, it's a bit warmer than the UK, unbelievably. -2, QNH 987. No SIG. Information Bravo. Excellent. Excellent. So, let us go to plan. There is a way to do this. If I go to... Maybe there's not. Maybe there's no plan mode. Yes, there is. We've gone through this. Format. There we go. So it has loaded in correctly. So we got the downwind and then radar vectors round onto the ILS. So that's actually pretty good. So we're going to leave it in nav for now, and then we'll just take vectors ILS Delta 22. Excellent. Let's bring up the charts. Thank you, Southampton. Genève. Approaching arrival always gets me. Lussar. What did we say we went with? Lussar to Romeo. See, there's the SPR transition, but you would normally be expected just to carry on the vector. So that's what we're doing. MSA is high, so we won't go below 7,000 feet until we turn in for our approach. That's runway 22. So this one we do need to tune. 224, 1087. 1087. Now I'll put in a 1139 in the standby. Just something slightly useful. Oh no, 11575 would be better actually. Oh, such a good system. Course 224. So I need to put the. I think you have to do it. You have to change the nav source, put it, and then put it back. So I'll just let it turn. We're out the icing for now, so we'll turn those off. And the props off. This temperature is actually, funny enough, you can leave this on, the engine intakes, and the temperature is set to the prop de-icer for some reason. Oh, punching the microphone. There we go. So the little doors open up in there. There they are. Because the intake for this engine is the strangest thing. It's not conventional. It's sort of like here, pointing down at an angle. So air goes in and then gets sucked up into the intake. So ice can build up in this section. So you want to drain that out the bottom and not up into the engine. And if there's any ice in there, you have to get it de-iced. It's a complete pain because no one has the equipment to de-ice it. Real problem in winter that. So we've got 1087. We'll put it on the other side as well. No. 107. See, it's so good. This system's so good. I can't talk highly enough of it. So what happens if I just change the nav source? So I'll leave it in heading. Ah, that's one. It goes into wings level. Okay, there you go. Oh, there must be a better way to do it. Anyway, course is 224. I think you can do it from the other side, can't you? That's 2. There we go. So... no, you can't. No, nonsense. G4. Nav out. There we go. We just had a chat about how I choose flights, but the answer was I don't know. Just whatever I can load up and get a thumbnail of often. But I have a rough idea. You can also go onto Google Maps and just look around the world, see if anything looks interesting on Google Maps. Sometimes I do that and I get an idea of the distance like that, so I can start to think, oh, maybe I can get from, you know, what we did Vietnam to Singapore. Maybe that'll work. We should fly into Vietnam again. Amy says, courses are independent per side. There we go. So how do you backset it normally? What do we used to do? I feel like there was some trick to that. Anyway, I'm going to click these speeds. I don't know what that's based on. 35? Because 116 is low. Yeah, so we'll do flat 15, light winds, long runway. Doing flat 35 would be reserved perhaps for the shorter runways or the windy conditions. Let's put the format back. Now, no top of descent arrow. What I can do is go into VNAV and give it one. So I want to descend at 2,200 feet per minute. Ah, won't it do it because of the disconnect? That's a shame. Nope. Let's go into this flight plan menu. Let's fill that. Keep it up to date. What a pain. Yeah, it looks like that won't work. Anyway, so we've done the course, done the ILS frequency. We can descend below 7,000 feet once we're down here on the ILS. The platform is 7,000 anyway, intercepting at 17.7 DME, which we'll see up here. We must remember to change the nav source when we want to do that. And we'll fly down 3 degrees. We can go down the ILS clean. It'll be absolutely fine in the Dash 8, and we can put the flaps out as we go down this slope. No problem. Huge amounts of drag available to us. And then we'll drop the gear at, I don't know, 4 miles. Dead easy to slow down. We're only slowing down to flat 15, so power setting in the sort of around 20%. We'll see what it needs. VAP of 121. And then we go pitch limit of 5 degrees pitch on landing. Very hard to maintain, 5 degrees, so we basically won't be able to flare at all. We can add a little bit of power if we need to. Hopefully won't need to. We can just leave the power where it is, but we won't idle the engines. We won't even reduce power flat 15. We will just leave them alone, flare, let it land, and then we'll get from there. So that is the plan. Right, well, it's getting interesting now because our VNAV isn't working at all. Lusar is our first point above flight level 200s. Well, we're only at 25,000, so actually we don't need to descend yet. We're doing fine. Famous last words. Let's just get the airport chart up as well. There it is. So landing, vacating to the left, over onto the apron. We'll probably be stopped with Charlie. Amy says you press format for a long time until the MFD goes into nav ILS mode. Ah, yes, there you go. Thank you. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And then you can change it. Yeah, well done. Thank you, Amy. I'll ask you that again next time when I've forgotten it again. What was it? 224. So you hold format, and then you can change it in there on this screen. There we go. I knew there was a way. This way, thanks for the follow. Right. So we will eventually be speaking to someone. To fly the ILS, let's just remind ourselves, we got to make sure we set the course. Sorry, the nav source. Look at that, 4 all in the same place, all very similar, although the altitude one is a bit smaller. But yeah, and then we need to remember outsell all the way down, and we need to probably fly VS. And then approach. Simples. Amy says, I think I bought some of the VNAV. What do your waypoint altitudes look like? Good question. Yeah, but it's got above 20, but it doesn't have any en route ones. Have I not told it where we're cruising? It's got everything else. It just won't take it. There's no way to put it there. Nav, that's where you put hold it if you want it. Flight plan. Oh yeah, there's a flight number. Should have done that. Oh. There we go. Just in time for the controller. 131325. We are Manta 324. We have information Bravo. Geneva, good evening. Manta 324, flight level 250 to Lusar. Dash 8 Delta with Bravo. Manta 324.
Manta 324, Geneva, good day, set squawk 1000.
Squawk 1000, Manta 324. It's very quiet. Try to turn that up.
769 outer, descent 7000 feet. 7000 feet, subtraction subject
1000.
Ballet 160,
he's clear though, he's clear.
80, subtraction 8000 feet, connection 987.
Yeah, I set my Com 1 to full volume on
8000 feet, connection 987 for Ballet 16 heavy. Banter 324 identified, cleared loose aft to Romeo, expect ILS runway 22, descent flight level 160.
Thank you, Lucid 2 Romeo, ILS runway 22, descend flight level 160, Manta 324. 160. How ridiculous is that? Did you hear that beep? It beeped at me because it saw that we were within 1,000 feet of the altitude bug, even though I'm the one moving it right now. Just mad. 1,000, outsell. That's on standards. And we can go when ready. We have to be above 200 at Lucid, which we're now passing. Pretty much time to go down, I would have thought. 40 miles. I don't remember the sums. I think 2,000 feet per minute was something close to 3 degrees. So let's see. We want to be 7,000 feet to beam, ready to turn in. Let's say we want to be 8,000 feet there. That puts us 18,000, 17,000 feet high. So 45. Yeah, that's about right. That's about right. So the way we used to descend, or I certainly used to, was VS 500 outside in. Then I would take a bit of power off as you start down, and then I would adjust the rudder trim. Now we haven't had to do it here. The one thing I would say is, if I take all the power off, that's idle, the rear aircraft would just swing. The yaw damper wouldn't stop it. So that bar would slip out to the side, and then you would use the rudder trim, the most used switch on the flight deck, this rudder trim, and you would correct it. It doesn't seem to do that on here. I'm not sure if that's to do with the way I've got my flight model set up or what it is, but anyway, that's my only slight notable thing. Because the rear aircraft, yeah, 2,200 feet per minute, idle power, you definitely have to do a bit of rudder trimming.
805 Golf contact service radar 133.050.
Good, so we've got our charts done. Altimeters, they're not set yet. Approach landing, cabin altitude. Ah yes, let's check our cabin altitude. Oh, it's higher than I thought. 1365. Somewhere there. I hope we've done that in time. Yeah, I've actually got a bit of power on, so idle it fully. Let's see how this works. If you're high, you can just move the propellers up and you'll get more drag. It's super powerful. There we go, idle, 2,200s. Should stick to about 230, I'm hoping. I don't remember having this level off marker, but maybe I just don't remember it. Keep looking out there for the range, like the Airbus. So we can level off at 160 before Lurko. I think we're too early. Lurko's above 8,000, so we'll definitely be fine for that. Yeah, the dash has no trouble getting the height off. It's so hard to get high in the dash 8. You have to really work at that. David Perry says, must have been a headwind. Started watching, went out to finish cooking, had dinner, 2 courses, 3 gin and tonics, and the game had to go with flight controller. Life is hard. Yeah, we've been going for 2.5 hours. It's quite long. Pole9, thanks so much for the $11.99 super chat. Really appreciate it. Pole9 says, sup, have a safe flight, everyone. Thank you so much, Pole9. Thanks for supporting the channel. You've supported us so much. Really, really appreciate it. And thank you for coming along today. Hope you're having a very good evening. And yeah, we do indeed hope everyone around is having a safe flight with us today. Send flight 120, Manta 324. Outsell still in. But yeah, thank you very much, man. I'm really, really very kind of you. And another one, like far too kind. Another 11.99 super chat. This time with the pair flying. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you for all your support of the channel. Really, really appreciate it. It's very, very, very kind of you. and hope you're doing very well today. Pair's good. Usually I get a description. It's not showing me. Streamlabs used to show me a description of the stickers, but it's not doing it now. But yeah, thank you. Really appreciate the donations. I'm going to end that poll now. So we've ended 47. So it goes Pan Am, Ibex, and then Phoenix. Thank you everyone who voted. And as I said, do please leave a like if you are enjoying. Amy says, it's a feature of the advanced navigation package, which old Flyby definitely wouldn't have sprung for. No. There you go. There you go. Yeah, no, I do not. If I were to have worked there, I certainly would not have remembered seeing that line. There you go, 230 knots, held nicely at 2,200s. That's good. I'm glad that works. That's what I remember doing. So 1-2000s, 20 miles to go. Yeah, it's just no problem with the height. Into the Merc. Is that us? Props coming on. This is the phase of flight where we get in the way of jets because we're doing 230 naturally in the descent at idle, and the jets behind might be doing, they'll be easily doing 270 plus. There's 1,000 to go, so it's too late now. But if I watch this, I'm going to change the VS, and if it goes into outstar whilst I'm changing the VS, watch this. So let's say I'm reducing that rate of descent. Oh, we're descending a bit fast, add a bit of power, and I keep fiddling with it. Is it going to do it? Show you what can happen. So we're going to outstar. Oh, we did well there. You would not have done that in the real aircraft because the risk is too high of missing the points. Blendonator has super chatted $10 Canadian. Really appreciate it, Blendonator. Thanks so much. Very kind of you, and a thank you with a fox. Very, very kind, Blendonator. Really, really appreciate it. And with the Blender logo, yeah. I used to use Blender. Outstar, and then if you go like that. Oh, I didn't do it. Golf 507, Manta 324. It doesn't do it in when I flew the dash. It's an 8,000 feet, QNH 987, Manta 324. Oh, what's going on here? Yeah, if I did that in the dash, it would knock out outstar, and then you'd sail through the level. I remember that very vividly. Don't ask me how I know. Right, let's put 8,000 feet in the window. So you'd be trying to fix a high rate of descent, and it would just sail through it for you because you were trying to fix it. It was really bad. Outsell. VS 600, that's all we need for now. We're plenty high. QNH 987, so set QNH. See, we're much lower as well, of course. Super low QNH there. QNH 987, 8,000 feet without cell. That's what we expected. The 80s was 987 as well. And now we can do a DTO Golf 507. Luckily, it's one of the points we have, which is 19. And we are in LNAV, so it will turn. We'll just do a little bit more VS. Outsell, 8,000, 230 knots. Left left 040, Manta 324. Okay, he wants heading. Even further left, so we must be getting close on the one in front. So click heading. 040. But yeah, thank you again to the Blendonator. Really, really appreciate it. And thanks for the sticker. Pole 9, 60 euro super chat. Pole 9, far too kind. Again, Pole 9's. I've missed the stream. Got to watch its replay and go to bed. Good night, Captain and Passengers. Pole 9, thank you so much. Really, really, very, very kind. Really appreciate it. I don't know what to say. So generous. I hope you're having a good day. And yeah. Oh no, 040. Not in nav. I'm getting confused there. Trying to center the bug. Yeah. Thank. Heading 045, Manta 324. 045, there it is. But yeah, thanks so much, man. Have a very good evening, and I hope you enjoy the replay. It's quite a long one. But thank you again for the kind donation and for all your support on the channel. There's our ice detection message. So that means increased ref speeds go on. Now, we need to change our approach speeds. I think flat 15 it increases by 20 knots. Utterly mad, but that's what it does. So if we don't get rid of that ice before landing, you would need to increase your approach speeds massively, and it becomes a whole different airplane trying to land it like that. We shall see how this goes. But thank you again, Paul 9. Really appreciate it. AC4 Vibe says, I think the very reason few voted for the Phoenix is not they don't want it, they just don't know what they'll get. They just know that they'll get it eventually anyway, being 320 base channel. Yes, fair enough. Fair enough. Amy Parent says, as far as I know, QantasLink is the only airline that has it. Talking about this level off banana. Even the now gone Horizon Q400 had RMP RF capability, but not advanced nav package. There you go. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Airlines don't pay for packages. If a manufacturer does anything as an option, then yeah, don't expect to see it. So ice detected. What I should have done fast. We need airframe mode selector on. That's what I should have done. Very important. Increased rev and the boots need to come on. Getting a caution. Don't know what that was, and it's gone now. Something's not working. Possibly this is the boots being slow to inflate.
180 for ballet 16.
Yeah, the ice pressure. So that's because the pressure is actually dropping, but it shouldn't be doing that. Yeah, you can see it dip. If you watch these needles carefully, they're dipping as the next set of boots inflates, triggering that warning. Now the real aircraft wouldn't trigger the warning. If it wasn't working, it would trigger the warning. It wouldn't do it routinely. So now it's in a rest period. It's done a full cycle, and it stays off for a bit to let some ice build up. Yeah, I don't think there's any visual ice on XP12 as of yet. Can't see any. 220 knots, Manta 324. Hey, getting told to slow down in the Dash 8. Not bad. We've been doing well. See how close we've been. So that is the 80 chop where it drops from 280, I think, down to 245 in 1,000 feet. Just crazy design. Crazy design. Thank you again, Pole 9. Sorry, was that for Manta 324? Right heading 130? Right heading 130, Manta 324. Base leg then. Keep 220. Oh. Hearing some rattling now. But yeah, thank you again, Pole 9. Thank you, Blendinator, for all those very kind donations. Visual ice on the Zebo, says Samantha. Very good. Yeah, the Zebo is very good. Yeah. So in 7,000 feet, Manta 324. Yes. Outsail. So many, look at this. So you can see what I mean about this aircraft. Getting the outsail in, the master caution's going because they always go. The de-icing system needing 4 different switches just to run it normally, and then we're getting shaken around like this. Anyway, let's get nav source ILS 1, and I'll put this one to ILS 2, 224, 1087, which is correct. Now I don't even know if I can sequence this. Let's see, we can. If I sequence it to the SPR, because it won't engage it. Descend to 6,000 feet, right heading 190, and to establish Wilco, Manta 324. So all going on, heading 190, got a bit fast there, back to 220. We're below the glide slope. Let's just back off the VS, and I'm going to arm the approach. Lock star, VS 400, outsell 6,000 blue. GS is armed and white. good. Steve, hello. Steve says, hi there. I made a live stream at last. I'm in Hamilton, New Zealand in this plane. It's a stalwart of the Air New Zealand flights for me. The best fun into windy weather. Yes, this airplane, because of its lightness, it does get bumped around. Increased rest speed is on, but the ice is cleared, so I'm going to turn off the props. So I'll leave the props on. I'm going to turn off the actual boots, and I'll turn off the increased ref. You can only do that when you know there's no ice on the spigots, which we're going to say we have. Glide slope coming in now. So we've done the altimeters, done the approach landing brief, done the cabin out, and done the ice protection. Approach, we've done altimeters, lights, GPW's landing flap is 15, fuel transfer off, so now we need to turn the fuel pumps on, and we're going to put the standby hydraulic systems on as well. Just get ready with the power because it's going to suddenly descend quite quickly, of course. So tanks, pumps, hydraulics press, and PTU control, all checked, passenger signs on, caution warning lights, cabin. Yeah, we never let our passengers go on this one, unfortunately for them. Next, the landing checklist. Excellent stuff. If we go around, we'll climb to 7,000 feet. Just don't want to get too distracted here. Lennator, you're very welcome. Amy says you went to the wrong SPR. Yes, I've cleared out the whole flight plan. I suspect I went to, there must have been one from the go around. Either way, it doesn't matter. In the Airbus, that would matter a lot. You want it sequenced for the go around. I imagine you want to sequence the go around on this, but the go around's very manual on this anyway, so we need to know our go around, which is straight ahead, 9.5 GVA, which we have in VOR, left turn backgrounds, and climbing to 7,000 feet. There you go. Good stuff. So there we go. We're now fully on the glide slope. Let's put 7,000 feet in the window. Endless warnings and dings and beeps, just like I remember it. And now I'm going to start bringing the speed back, because 220 down the glide slope is not something you would do in an Airbus, and it's still a bit sporty even for this. 14 miles out though, we've got room. Jason, thanks for the follow. So you see that? We're coming down the glide slope, 1,300 feet per minute. Speed's reducing. It's just the power of this machine. Look at the rain. Love it. So yeah, it's an unusual aircraft to have that power. Getting laggy though, and I don't know why. There's no scenery here. Oh, you should be able to do it again. So what if we did DTO? Ah, because that's the go around then, isn't it? Yep. So let's put 22. Hey, excellent. Thanks, Amy. Amy is the master of the avionics on this aircraft. Apologies, established Mentor 324.
Mentor 324, speed 180 until 6, contact tower 118.7.
180 to 6 and 118.7, Mentor 324. Thanks for your help, mate. Excellent controller. Doing a great job. So we will have 1187. Select and then change. It's the philosophy of this aircraft. 187. Tower 180 to 6, so that's good. With ice on, I think it's about 190 knots minimum clean would be a sensible idea. I don't think that's the actual minimum clean, but I think it's a safe one that covers you in lots of situations. With ice off, about 170, so we can do 180 to 6, so we're going to stay clean until 6 miles on the RS. No problem at all with this aircraft. It's just such a great machine for this. The Dash 8 is slower in the descent at altitude, but then it's faster on the approach because it has this ability. Tower, good evening, Mentor 324, ILS, runway 22, we are at 8 miles.
Mentor 324, tower, good day, winds 200 degrees, 4 knots, runway 22, clear to land.
Clear to land, runway 22, Mentor 324. So so it hasn't cleared the flight plan before the directors, Amy. Yeah, that's the key difference. For the Airbus, it would have done. You can get in a bit of a muddle if you get too distracted without the Airbus. So we've got props and engine heat on, which is good because we've got precipitation. But as long as we don't have ice built up, we can turn that ref speed to it. This switch is just crazy. Terrible, terrible switch. But there we go. Right, 6.4. We're actually a bit fast now. 6.2. Now, I don't remember the flap limiting speed, so I'm going to hope flap 5 is acceptable here. It won't show us either. It must have a placard somewhere. I don't remember where it is. You have to placard it. Pretty sure. Anyway. Right. Not slowing down as much as I'd hoped, having said all that. So let's bring the props up to max. Get the real drag. And then you can see the trend arrow go down. Look at that. And then we go flaps to 10. That's great. They've simulated that. Now we're getting the gear horn, so we'll drop the gear. We are already clear to land. And we're going to land flat 15, so I'm going to put flaps to 15. I think that was, yeah, that was okay. I think it's about 170 something. Bleed's going to be on and min. And now what I'm going to do is gently put it back to 850. So I'd like to do reduced MP landing. Set the power where I want it, because the drag's out now, so you've got to get that power back in. And then I'm going to press reduced MP landing, condition levers to max. And now they will stay at 850, but in the event of a go around, they'll zoom up. Now here's a question, why doesn't it just do that anyway? Don't know, but there we go. You got to press reduced MP first. I think in the mid-20s should work. Landing checklist is landing gear down, 3 greens. Flaps 15, set and indicating. Condition levers are max. BD 1 and 2 min. FA notification. Not sure, I think that means flight attendant notification. We're not going to do. Next is after landing. We are clear to land. Speed is sitting quite nicely, about 3 degrees of pitch. We don't have any more room, that's normal. Hey Manta, they know us, that's great, that's really great. You can see we're running out of pitch now. It's 4 degrees, and yeah, you can. This is what can happen. Just bizarre. There it is. What a beauty. So I'm going to keep it a little bit fast. Those power lines are slightly in the way. I hope they're not modelled objects. Let's just head over those just in case. So autopilot off. I don't know if X-Plane has the physics enabled to touch those. And then we're a bit fast, but leaving the power where it is, all the way into the flare.
30, 20,
Holding it here,
10,
holding it here, holding it here. There's touchdown. Idle, and then into disc. Get the nose down, and the roll spoilers are up, and we won't need any brakes. It will decelerate all on its own from that. Now, this propellers shouldn't overspeed. This is not right. They don't do that. They would just stay where they are, and then they would go to sort of the ground idle position. But it doesn't matter. Just fly it like that, and it will work. So just don't remove the power. So different. Loving the lighting tonight. This is very pretty. And we love a bit of rain on the runway here. And there we go. Welcome to Geneva. Fantastic. All the controllers, all the traffic. Great fun. And what a machine. It's such a good add-on. I've done such a great job with it. It really captures the difficult parts of the Dash 8 experience. And the sounds and everything about it. They've really got the feel for it. The soul of this aeroplane is captured with this add-on. It's not, you know, it's not all that easy to do, I can't imagine. James on final, excellent. I'll get off the runway.
Speedbird 257, Geneva Tower, grid C, wind check, winds 200 degrees, 4 knots,
right.
runway 40 approach, and continue approach. Hotel Kilo Lima, winds 200 degrees, 4 knots, runway 220 section, Yankee, clear takeoff.
Right, let's figure out where we're going to go, and then we will have a replay coming up. If you are leaving now, do please leave a like, makes a big difference, really appreciate it. Replay will be coming, of course, soon, and we can analyse what I did and didn't do right there. So, ground spoilers down, flaps up, bus tie on. 121850. Manta 324, thanks mate. Another excellent controller. Lots going on here. I don't think we've had a ground controller for a long time. Usually when we fly to Gatwick, it's the only time we see that. 7, 8. It is a Geneva time of year. What else would we do? Probably turn off the fuel pumps, standby hydraulics. Steve says, yes, the echo sounds around the country. It does indeed. Suppose we get the APU up and running. Power. Done the lights.
Squawk 1000, information Charlie, Delta Alpha Mike Uniform Charlie.
Stands.
Delta Alpha Mike Uniform Charlie.
Windshield off, props off.
Startup is approved, QNH 0987. Startup approved, QNH 0987.
Geneva ground, good evening, Manta 324. We took Delta in the end, didn't we?
324 Geneva apron, hello. Taxi to stand 61 via outer, like straight ahead.
Outer to stand 6-1, Manta 324. So we're on Delta, we're going to take outer and then 6-1, so it's literally right here. Bit of a left turn. Great. Brakes released, control lock is on. So, control lock on, transponder. You wouldn't put it to standby just yet, but we'll just do it now. We might get in trouble with the controller. Radar we didn't use, flaps are at 0, tank pumps off. Your damper off. Look at these things. Taxi, switch, anti-collision to red, lights off, pitot static, they can come off as well. So many things to do, unreal. Window heat off, ice protection switches off, main bus tie, APU, and BD 1 and 2. Good, right, let's find 61. There it is. Checkpoint says, I see I'm right on time to see the outro. Thanks for joining us, Checkpoint. Just going from work, it was pretty cold outside. It was chilly, wasn't it? Yeah. There's James arriving. Let's all judge James's landing. Never judging, of course. Looks like my it could be that low QNH messing up. Yeah, that's him. Don't we have like velocity now or something? Oh, there you go. Looks lovely. Let's get out of the way. X-plane looks... Now I see they've fiddled with the water on the grounds because they've got rid of that. It used to just go in lines. Now it's got these puddles. It looks a lot nicer. And it was already quite a good effect. Landing gear says, do you get numbers to call? No, I think you can be reported though. Thanks, Birdman. So the landing was alright, was it? How'd it go? AC445 says, can confirm, sounds are spot on. Yeah, they're just great. No physics on the power line, says Leanne. Excellent. Yeah, I hope not. So we'll stop ourselves a beam, one of these. There we go. Brake is set. We'll put the APU generator on. Now this confuses all the passengers. We go to start feather. You lose the AC generators. And everyone thinks that now they can get up and walk around, but you don't turn the seatbelt signs off at this stage unless that's changed. You have to sit here for 30 seconds, I think, letting the engines just sort of cool down. So you sit there like this, get rid of that taxi light when we came to stand, of course. Now I'm hoping the replay will work. This will be a little shocking as well. Jack says, what a fun plane. Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Good to see you, Jack. Hope you enjoyed the flight. And now we can go fuel off. Oh, it needs the gate for that. There you go. And now we get this. Ding. And we'll get the master warning in a second for low oil pressure. Oil pressure. I mean, unbelievable. It's got no inhibitor at all. The Airbus knows exactly what it's doing. And this one doesn't have a clue. Stand by for the flight directors. And now you can turn everything off. Let the passengers out. Look at that. Just awesome. Richard Darcy says, no ground inhibit? Indeed, no. Yeah, AC445 says, too bad you can't feel the vibration on shutdown. No, I know, it's great. Yeah, sadly not. Sadly not. And there we go. Welcome to Geneva. Thank you to the excellent VATSIM controllers we've had. So we'll disconnect from VATSIM. Thank you to James for flying along. And now, let's have a look at the replay. I'm just going to rewind it like this. I want to see Concorde didn't move the visor into the right place. So I wonder if I reverse it, will the flaps and stuff will go back. Engines, beacon. Lights. Oh, it's very good. This is the power of a good replay tool. Zach says, hi mate, I watched the Phoenix A320 guide to calibrate the throttle. It did work, but it stopped working just now. Oh, I don't know, I'm afraid. You might need to recalibrate it. If you've recently updated the Phoenix. Look at the lighting. Oof, that's nice. That's really nice. And now will the flaps come out? See, this is the Geneva style stop bar, just flashing amber lights. It's not as good as an actual red stop bar. We did sit here for a while. I might have to skip past this bit. Hoping to see the flaps travel. There they go, look at that. It all works. Again, amazing texturing. Oh, there we go. Workaround for the replay crashing is to use rewind, not drag it. Thanks, Wild Rumble. That's what we'll do. The water on the runway, the standing water. Oh yeah, that's what I like to see from a dash landing. So these pylons need to go. I'm a bit surprised to see them, considering the airport's so nice. They certainly wouldn't be there. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's how you land a Dash 8. I'm pretty happy with that. Just luck. As my video was called More Luck Than Judgment. Let's go to... Let's get a proper flyby. So, bit of a snatch, but not too bad. So, grab the nose. 5 degrees pitch, touchdown. That's all you can do. And what happens here is the nose should come down quicker, but what it's doing is because those propellers are catching, they're giving a huge amount of drag and they're raising the nose back up again. And it's why I don't like the fact that they shouldn't jump, they shouldn't grab like that. They should just decelerate. Oh, yes. Another screenshots there. Excellent. Sorry about the lag you're seeing. My sim isn't lagging. It is just the streaming software, unfortunately. No, my XP12 isn't, but I can see that your feed is. My XP12 is running totally smoothly. I don't know what's happening here. I thought, having got a VATSIM, it might have been alright. Alas, it is not. But there we go. Don't know what else to say, really. What pitch will we at landing? Let's do a little... It seems to be okay in the cockpit.
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100.
Ignore the modes. No issues on Twitch. Oh, thanks, Richard. Interesting. So my streaming software shows it stuttering, but Twitch doesn't. How strange.
30, 20, 10.
So they go 5 degrees. That's all we had. I lowered it slightly. Oh no, maybe I didn't. Yeah, that's already at the limit. Great. All right then. Well, I don't know what else to say to that. Pretty happy with that. Thank you again to Bounce for this beautiful livery. I think it looks great. Well, I think it's beautiful because I designed it, but I like it on the dash. So thank you for the work to do that. And now we'll put ourselves up into the air a little bit. Just over 1,000 feet perhaps. We'll do... What wing view? Let's put it there. That was pretty late to configure, I've got to say. Is that wing view good enough? What do you think? Let's try that one. So, what I'm going to say now is thank you all everyone for coming along. Slough says, just pop by to say I love your YouTube videos. They're very helpful and great content. I've learned so much. Thanks. You're very welcome, Slough. Thank you for coming on today. So I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you everybody for coming along and joining in and chatting and just watching. Really, really appreciate it. Please do leave a like if you're watching on YouTube. It makes a big difference to the channel. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for those very generous donations. Thank you to the moderators, as ever, for their great work looking after us and keeping this such a fun place, community to be a part of. So thank you, huge thank you to the moderators. And thank you to everyone who's helped me out here. Thank you to Amy for your work on this aircraft, and also for coming along today to help us out with that, because that's been incredibly valuable. This is a very different sort of auto flight suite on this aircraft, so it's great to have some help with that. So thank you so much. Thank you, James, for flying along. And we will be back soon with another stream. The next one then, if it's not a sort of fun Twitch stream, the next one I'm expecting to be the Pan Am A310, so look forward to that. Do please subscribe, and I think you have to put the little bell on to get notified if I put a new video or stream up, I think. But if you do put the bell on, you will get notified. And of course, join our Discord, where I will always put a notification out on our Discord about the new videos anyway. Thanks, Andy, really appreciate it. So thank you all. Thank you again for the very kind donations, and thanks to the mods, thanks to watching, thanks for chatting. We shall see you all next time. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.